Tonight's episode of the Tuesday Night Cigar Club is brought to you by Drew Estate. Come experience the rebirth of cigars at www.drewestate.com and download the free Drew Diplomat smartphone app today to discover nearby retailers, RSVP to special events, redeem points to win exclusive Drew Estate merchandise, and much, much more.
This might be a big mistake, but I'm having too much fun to wait. Flag her down when she comes back by. That one's yours and this one's mine. Bring another round. Bring another round. Bring another round. Bring another round. Bring another round.
Here's the suckles.
Good evening, brothers and sisters of the leaf. Coming to you live from the Bat Cave, where there's an abundance of protuberant rubber nipples poking out all over the place for some reason. It's the Tuesday Night Cigar Club podcast. Tonight, the boys talk with legendary cigar industry icon Daniel Marshall as they enjoy his delicious Black Label Short Torpedo cigar paired with the refreshing Bat Outta Helles lager from Freetail Brewing Company. And it wouldn't be a Tuesday night without a movie under the bat microscope, so your favorite dynamic trio will be talking their way through the 1997 colorful curiosity that is Batman and Robin. This has all the makings of a fantastic episode, folks, so sit back, light 'em up, and enjoy the show. And did I mention nipples?
Well, as I was sitting there looking, we were waiting for a plane back to Texas. I was looking around, all of a sudden it clicked to me why so many stand-up comedians create so much material about airports and airlines. The shit just writes itself. Like, I'm just sitting there.
No, you can't make that up.
I'm sitting there people watching, and I must have spent like a good hour just watching the duty-free store. And we were sitting there across from it, and I'd watch, and I'd see people like walk by and just kind of casually look over their shoulder at it, and then they'd kind of, maybe one at every 20 people would stop and kind of walk back a few and kind of look in there. And then out of those people, like maybe 1 out of 10 of them would actually go in. And it should be an easy decision, right? Whether to go in there or not. It's like, do I need a giant bottle of perfume and a 3-foot Toblerone bar? Or, did I leave enough room in my carry-on bag for a 40-gallon thing of rum and a giant novelty carton of Marlboro Reds? I answered yes on that last one. But that's about all they had in there.
My favorite, I think, was I think you pointed it out, it was like this 5-foot lollipop.
It was a lollipop like this big. And you'd see like this businessman go over there like,
Really?
I'll just get that giant bottle of rum. I'll pass on a lollipop for now. What a weird store.
I think it's just one of those things where it's like over time. I remember when I was young and you go by a duty-free shop in the airport, it was normal stuff. And like over time, it's like turned into like a amusement park where it's just got to be the novelty. Like you just said, do you need?
They had like 200 bottles of perfume and like a bag of M&Ms this big. It's like, who's shopping here? Like Elizabeth Taylor's ghost? I feel like I should have said that in the Jerry Seinfeld voice. And what's the deal with the no smoking signs on the airplanes? I mean, come on. It's 2018. Who's sitting back and lighting up thinking, oh yeah, this feels right. That was my Jerry Seinfeld doing airline humor.
Yes. I saw that.
I'll be appearing the next 2 nights at Chuckle's Giggle Factory. Got the 11 p.m. slot.
I knew it.
Come on by to hear my hilarious musings on the baggage carousel and airport Burger Kings. Got a lot of material I'm working on for them.
I remember that Burger King. That was
trying to forget that Burger King. That Burger King was hilarious. It took him like what, half an hour to get you guys' coffee, and then we go sit down and Tut kicks his over, spills it all over the place. That's not the best part, though. I wouldn't know he had spilled it, but he lets out a fuck, like the loudest fuck I've ever heard. And there's, it's an airport, a lot of people around. But it was the Orlando airport. I think everybody had bigger problems.
One, I just spent like my 40s in the airport security waiting, trying to get through.
So now you're agreeing it was a nightmare.
And then two, I fracking kicked over my cup of coffee before I had it.
You didn't say fracking that day. Seriously, I got a lot of good Burger King jokes. Come on out to Chuckles Giggle Factory. Welcome, everybody, to the Tuesday Night Cigar Club podcast. We got a good one for you tonight. Seems like it's been ages since we've been huddled up here together.
Yes.
We did go on a little excursion to the other side of the country, but you know what? We're going to talk about that next episode. After there's some material out there, some videos and stuff for you guys to see. And we had quite an adventure, but we're going to talk about that next episode. This episode, we're keeping it local.
Local?
Well, not local. None of it is local.
None of it.
We're just not going to talk about Florida this episode.
That's going to be great.
That is going to be great. Give it a little bit of space, a little bit of breathing room. We don't want Tut cursing at us. Tonight we have a good one for you folks. We actually are going to be smoking, I believe, our third Daniel Marshall cigar. As you know, here on the Tuesday Night Cigar Club. What episode? Did I say what episode? 74?
74.
74. Holy smokes. In the first 73 episodes, we've done 2 Daniel Marshall cigars. We did the Red Label earlier in our show, 2015. And then last year, I believe we did the Daniel Marshall Red Label, a different size. I want to say a torpedo. And we're going to be smoking a Black Label this evening, which is something completely different from Mr. Marshall. And I'm actually not going to say a lot about it because we're going to have Mr. Marshall on here in a minute to tell you about it himself. We're going to be talking to Daniel Marshall here live in the corner of No Hope. It's a good get for us. I'm sure he can tell us all about things way better than I do here every week in my gruff, non-Seinfeldian voice. Tonight we're going to talk about the Black Label number 2 Short Torpedo by Daniel Marshall. I believe it is out of the Quesada factory, I'll tell you that much. It is a 5x52. Daniel describes it as a short torpedo. Is wrapped in a 5-year aged Connecticut shade wrapper, a lot different than the Red Label we've had. Mexican binder and Dominican filler. So the Red Label is a Nicapuro.
Yeah.
So this is completely
Okay.
a different beast. Before we get to Daniel, because obviously we'll be drinking throughout the interview, because we drink throughout everything we do. Before we get Mr. Marshall here, you want to talk about the beer a little bit?
I do.
Even if you didn't, I was going to insist.
Okay, good. From San Antonio, it is from the Freetail Brewing Company, Bat Outta Helles.
We've done Freetail before.
Yes, we have.
Sold out.
That was the one that was all chunky and stuff, and we were freaking out that we were going to get poisoned.
Pretty much.
Yes.
Yeah, but it turned out to be okay. We lived.
We lived. A little blind, but that's all right.
Yeah,
we
well.
lived.
Tell us about the Bat Outta Helles.
Bat Outta Helles is a Bavarian-style Helles lager. Helles in German meaning light. So this is a light lager, but it's not a light beer.
It's pretty.
It's very pretty.
Uh-huh.
This
Tastes
is a pale lager. It's brewed with German and Pilsner and Munich malts, as well as a combination of American and German hops, and water taken from the Edwards Aquifer. Oh, sorry.
You don't know what I've done in that aquifer. I don't know anything. I'm sorry.
I was about to say, what have you done in that lager? We've all been drinking this now.
I'm still. That was a bit I'm working on for my gig at Chuckles later tonight.
Oh. It's never gonna end.
Needs more giggles.
Why do they call it an aquifer? Sorry.
All the way back to episode 1.
I am sorry. This is the end. This is
No, the There's this is an ABV of 4.8 and an IBU of 22, so mild beer. The Helles, the Bavarian style, originally developed by a German brewmaster in Munich in 1895.
Wow.
Yes, been around for a while. Came out more of as a necessity to the Pilsner that was coming out of the Czech town of Pilsen.
Oh, they're competing with the Czechs.
Basically, yes. It's almost an identical recipe to what they were doing there, but one of the things about the Pilsen at the time there is that the water is very soft in Pilsen, so not a lot of minerals in it, and so it gives that the Pilsner there a very different taste.
Okay.
Clean.
Clean. Yeah, I guess we'll go with that. I mean, that would be the best way. I don't know how to describe soft water in beer. If only we had some sort of like tasting wheel of beer. Someone could put that together for us in their spare time.
I'm glad you asked, Jack.
So the brewmaster in 1895, this guy's now working for Freetail Brewing?
No, he's dead.
Oh, okay.
I kind of wondered that. I was like,
Because
wait
if
a
he
minute.
was still alive, I want to be drinking his beer because it apparently is
Keeps you alive forever.
Fearful.
Oh, of
Yeah.
course, he'd be 125 years old, for God's sake. Okay. Actually, I have in my notes, I actually researched the year after he discovered he actually died of alcohol poisoning.
This stuff's great.
But his legacy lives on. And of course, we don't know his name. So it's not much of a legacy. Nobody knows your name.
Beer guy.
Beer guy. Here's to you, beer guy. I like it.
I do too.
I don't know if it's because it's hot as
Because
fucking
it's hot.
nuts
It's all
outside.
good now.
That's one reason.
Oh, is this cold? It's good.
Yeah.
No. I like it
Almost
because
has like
it's light. It's got a citrus profile, but it doesn't really have a citrus taste.
That's what I was gonna say.
Citrusy without citrus.
It's weird.
I can go. I'll agree with that. I guess orange may be the prominent citrus, but it's a little hint there on the.
It's a lot like drinking a Big Red. Is it strawberry? No. Cherry? No. It's red. Yes, that's what it is. It's red. That's not actually a flavor.
I like it. I like it a lot.
I'm gonna drink another one.
Yeah, you might as well.
It's going up fast. We also do have another beer. I'll get that to Tut.
Thank you.
There's a reasoning, as always, behind our pairings. As you know, on the Tuesday Night Cigar Club, we expertly pair.
Are we doing another bikini flick?
We can. Not tonight.
I got distracted by Freetail, so I was thinking that we were doing a bikini pick.
Oh.
It's Freetail for the Mexican Freetail bat. A bat, you say?
Oh, now I get it.
Yeah. We always try to pair everything, make everything work together. Tonight we are doing a movie featuring the character Mr. Freeze.
Haha.
So we are doing, of course, it's a Batman movie. We're doing the Bat Outta Helles. In the cigar, of course, made by Daniel Marshall, a very good friend of Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Who plays Mr. Freeze?
who plays Mr. Freeze. See how that all works together, boys?
Yeah, you tied it in with a neat little bow.
And having said that, we'll discuss the second beer when it arrives later on in the show. Probably the less said about that, the better.
Okay.
But now that we've kind of got everything laid out there, man, I'm just racing to get to this thing tonight. No BS. Let's talk to Daniel.
A little BS.
Little BS?
Yes.
All right. Well, not when Mr. Marshall's on.
Not with Mr.
No.
Marshall.
No. Sit up straight, boys. This is a big one. Let's get right to it. Here's our interview with Mr. Daniel Marshall. All right, ladies and gentlemen. To cigar enthusiasts, our special guest tonight needs no introduction. But to you film dorks and beer nerds out there, here's a little background information for you. Daniel Marshall humidors are the most sought after and most renowned humidors in the world, by far. They have graced the homes of Hollywood celebrities, U.S. presidents, government dignitaries. Daniel Marshall's also the cigar and humidor supplier of England's royal family.
What?
Yeah, he's also created and private labeled for prestigious luxury gift houses like Tiffany & Company, St. DuPont, Cartier. Daniel Marshall humidors are historic, damn it. Don't believe me?
Well, you saw me at the hotel during the royal wedding, so now I've got questions to ask.
A collection of Daniel Marshall humidors was on display at the Smithsonian.
Oh, wow.
Oh, you ever had anything on display in the Smithsonian yet, boy?
I have not.
You have not, exactly. So I think you get the point. Mr. Marshall is
That was mean.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. You did nothing to deserve that. Mr. Marshall is an industry icon, a true class act, and we thank him for joining us to class up our crazy little show here, if only for a brief period of time. Welcome, Daniel, to the Tuesday Night Cigar Club.
Tuesday Night Cigar Club and everyone, I'm so pleased and happy to join you. I'm here in my home in Southern California in Marina del Rey, and it's a real pleasure to be a part of this show that I've always admired and followed and had so much fun listening to all. And so it's a great treat for me. Thank you.
Well, you're more than very welcome. That means a lot, and that actually is true. When we first came out, we were kind of this kind of weirdo that nobody knew what to do with in the cigar world, because we weren't just talking about cigars. We were talking about movies and other things. And Daniel was one of the first ones who, I think, as far as established people in the industry, kind of got us. And I think maybe your connection into Hollywood, and I know you've also kind of always made an effort to not just speak to the cigar folks, as far as, you know, you've made humidors trying to kind of attract female smokers who might not normally be interested in the cigar culture, try to make these, you know, gorgeous humidors to get their interest. And that's kind of what we do. We try to describe the cigars that we enjoy to a way where maybe someone listening to us for the beer, the film's like, I got to try that. Like, that sounds so good. I think crossing cultures is so important to try to get new people in. And, well, thank you for seeing some potential in us years ago. And I really appreciate that.
Well, absolutely. I think that what you just described is the reason I'm even in business, and what I love to do personally is exactly what you're creating right there, the campfire. And that's what's kept me in the business for so long, kept me so interested, and been so much fun to meet people from all cultures, all genders, all nationalities. And so I think that's the wonderful thing that we enjoy in the cigar world, and that you can go into political world, you can go into the film world, like you say, and to do exactly what you're doing is the funnest thing, to sit around with your friends and just talk about the world and watch a movie together and enjoy some great cigars and some good spirits and good beer. What could be better? So
Nothing.
I'm about to cry.
Oh, you've made Tut cry, Dan.
I'm so happy.
It's Tuesday Night Cigar Club, but we need a Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
yeah, that's where our wives get. We've tried, Daniel. We've tried. Well, Daniel, to jump back just a little bit, I believe you crafted your first humidor around 1982. If you don't mind, tell us a little bit about how you got started building humidors. And I mean, it's obviously been a journey from there. But were you always interested in, you know, woodwork and crafting with your hands? What I'm most interested in is why humidors?
Okay, well, I absolutely was always interested from day one to create things. In my father's garage, that was my favorite place to go after school, before school, always checking on a project that I was working on. So it was definitely a passion that comes from creating things. And it started with models, model ships, model boats, model planes, and then it got into all kinds of rated control. Rated control was just coming out at the time, and you could, for $1,000 or a couple $1,000, you could get a rated control set. So I was in heaven when I was about 10 years old, 9, 10, 8, 7, 8, 9, 10, building model airplanes and model boats and tugboats, all kinds of things from scratch. So it was just this love. I have an engineer father, so I think a lot of it was inherited, at least the ability to engineer something in my mind and then see it come out in reality. But you asked about my first humidor. I discovered it in my factory. I don't know if you can see it there, but that's the very first humidor that I built, and it had a bottle of Dunhill whiskey on the inside. And 18 years old, 19 years old, I don't know many people that say, hey, I want to build humidors. So I wasn't building humidors to make a business. I didn't even know what a cigar was, basically. But my girlfriend's grandfather happened to love cigars. And I was sitting with him in his LA home overlooking all of LA one evening, and he was asking about my boat, because the reason I got into cigars is through a boat, through my dream to build a sailboat. So it's a kind of the opposite kind of world, but very similar in a way, because my desire to build a boat and sail around the world, which started about 10 years old, I get to enjoy the same thing that I would be doing sailing around the world, meeting people like you, sitting around talking about great things. And so this is what basically happened is, in talking to him that evening, he was asking about my boat, and I said, listen, I'm going to put my boat in the water in 2 weeks. I got a loan from the bank, and you're going to come to the christening. So this guy, Joseph Bain, had built a life insurance company in LA, so he came. He had been really successful businessman in the 60s and 70s, and so he said, well, I'm so excited about your dream and your boat, but why didn't you borrow the money from me? I would have certainly loaned you the 10 or 15,000 that you needed to finish your boat. And I said, no way, I'm never gonna borrow money from my girlfriend's grandfather. That just doesn't feel right. I'm gonna borrow it from the bank. No, it's no problem. And it was a 32-foot boat, and that was my real passion, to finish that and sail around the world. And so that night, I drove back home an hour away to an avocado ranch that my father had, where my boat was parked underneath basically a shed next to a workshop, which I had my tools. And I said, I got to make this guy a thank you gift. So the whole cigar life that I experienced today, and the reason I'm here talking to you, is because of a gift that I made to a gentleman that happened to love Dunhill cigars.
Wow.
So it's one of these kind of stories, which is one big accident, and one thing led to another. And so I made him a 3 cigar case, which I have a picture of it here. And it held, I called the butler the next day. I grew up really poor in Malibu, but he was, of course, in Bel Air. And there's a picture of the 3 cigar case
okay.
that I made for him. It had 3 Dunhill cigars on the inside. And there's me back in that cigar. And he loved it. It took 2 weeks to make, and it was made in teak wood, just like the boat, and it had a little brass plate on the bottom. It says, "To Papa Joe, love Danny, thank you for believing in me." I had not borrowed the money from him and didn't want to, but he saw my future. I gave him the case, and he looked at it, and he said, "I'll use this on the golf course. This is great, but if you want, borrow it from me, take it to Dunhill, and they'll buy it. You can set up a little factory, sail around the world. You can do it all." So
Wow.
it is the first person in my life that gave me the idea that you really can live out all your dreams, not just one dream, but do it all. And I did just that. I took his advice, took it to Dunhill. They liked it, gave me the name of the buyer in New York, flew to New York for the first time, couldn't get an appointment, but I walked in, the good old American style, American fashion way, and just walked into Dunhill and begged to see the buyer. Buyer gave me 5 minutes. He was not impressed. I had 1 teak cigar case for every Dunhill cigar they made, and he was the one that got me on the humidor path, because he says, "We'll sell a few of these, but can you make a humidor?" And I said, "Of course. What's a humidor?" And that is the replica right there of the humidor that he gave me, a French-made humidor that was made for Dunhill, with that full bottle of Dunhill whiskey on the inside. And I copied it. 2 weeks later, came back to New York, and I got a $250,000 order for making Dunhill humidors in America. Never finished the boat, never borrowed the money for the boat. But we had to set up a factory.
It's fun. It's funny how life happens. Did you keep the whiskey that he gave you?
Oh, this makes me cry. You would bring up that subject. A year ago, when I was searching through the factory for other artifacts for a book that is being put together right now, I came across a box covered in dust, and inside were the jewels of the crown. This humidor was unprotected, covered in 20 years of dust. I mean, literally, I hadn't seen it in so long. And inside was an empty bottle of Dunhill whiskey.
Oh.
Seal on the top.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. I got to learn to keep my big mouth shut sometimes. So then we'll move. That's a hell of a story. After, skip ahead, I guess. Well, first of all, before we move on to the cigars, there is one question. Creative materials used for your humidors. I mean, I know from teak to different types of wood to alligator or crocodile skin. I've seen so many different uses, creative ways that you've created these humidors. Recently, I saw you used one, a 50-year-old Balvenie whiskey barrel, the wood from this 50-year-old. It was just awesome looking. Does that kind of still fuel your passion, finding new materials? Are you ever just kind of out in the wild and see something that sparks an idea like, hey, I haven't used this before, or this would be make an amazing humidor? Is that creativity always just kind of running through your veins?
Yes, you're 100% right. It's really what keeps me. I don't. The more years I'm in this business, the more enthusiastic I am, the more excited I am, the more fun it is, because there's more projects that come to me and are suggested that, can you do this or can you do that? And of course, I'm totally always looking for new ways to make humidors, innovative ways to make cigars. And that's a passion and a dream and a mission of mine. It's like the reason I'm alive is to create great, unique, unusual items. And it was always right from the start, since I liked creating gifts. And I made this gift for the gentleman that I spoke to you about. I loved touching people with something unusual and something that really speaks to them. So it was always fun through the years when I could come up with something and see the joy in someone's face, or hear about it, that the gift of a Daniel Marshall humidor made the day, or the special chest humidor that we created was a big hit, or, because then it speaks to our passions and our loves and what we really care about. And it's hard to move the needle in today's world. And so I'm all about challenging that and like to find the right item that really fits the moment. So yes, whether it's sterling silver or solid gold or the Balvenie whiskey. Now we're making one with Hudson whiskey for Hudson, the distillery that makes Hudson it's Hudson whiskey in the U.S. We're making some for them. We're going to make some for Willett. What's going to be fun is we're going to make a very special collection of humidor covered in the same barrel that customers can buy so they'll be able to buy this special cask made from the exact same finishing cask that was used to make it. So yes, you're 100% right. This is what gets my heart pounding and my blood flowing. As crazy it might sound, but I have a friend, just to give you an example, she's really a space geek. She really is living in the future as far as visiting outer space and living on the moon. And she just sent me a picture of her chatting with Jeff Bezos yesterday. And I said, that girl's going to do it. She's putting together, she's with NASA and all this. And so she's wanting me to create a special space humidor with space-age material. That can go to space. And so definitely...
That'll be fun.
She and her astronaut friends are determined to take the gold cigar and some of our red label cigars to be the first one into space. You're right. It's all this crazy thing. There's no frontier. 15, 20 years ago, I used to go to my accountant and say, you know what, I've made as many humidors as the world can possibly buy. I know every cigar lover on the planet. This is, of course, before Cigar Aficionado, before all the kind of like interest in premium cigars. And he says, Danny, you tell me that every year. You think you're going out of business every year. Just shut up and let me invest some money in your company.
What was that was another interesting one I saw. What was the car maker who, when you bought it was some high dollar sports car, you could pay an additional amount to have a matching colored Daniel Marshall humidor, and you embedded the replica of the gas cap
Yes, yeah, it's
in the top of the humidor. That looked really amazing.
The filler cap. I think I have a picture of it. But I was down there in France, a place called Molchan. I think I have a picture here. I can show it to you. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh yeah.
But that's the picture of it. I was in Molchan, France, and a friend of mine was buying his Bugatti. And what you do is you go down there and choose the color, and you choose what leather you want on the inside, what kind of stitching, what kind of detail. You can customize it in a big way. And at lunch, the humidor came out with the cigars, and of course the cigars were all dry, and the humidor was pathetic. It was definitely a clunker.
Right.
And my friend said to the guy who runs Bugatti, he says, "What is going on here? Here you've got Daniel Marshall in the room. I think he's going to definitely help you make a humidor for this showroom." And that's exactly what I did. I talked to the guy on the side, the president, and I said, "Listen, let's make a present for my friend. Let's make one for the shop and one for me, one for your factory." And so we sent 3 humidors over there. They painted them in the same color as my friend's car, exact same paint. Sent them back. We put the filler cap on. I tell you, when those filler caps came from France with the invoice, they were 8,000 euros each. And I said,
wow.
Is this going to be a gift, or am I going to pay $8,000 for a gas cap, guys? The windshield alone on that car is $250,000.
Ouch. God. Oh.
So, but anyway, it was a great project, and so if a customer loves cigars, they can get their customized Bugatti humidor.
I hope to God my car dealership never hears about this. They already screw me enough. Because I won't say no.
We're creating a few Harley Davidson themed humidors with parts of guys' favorite Harleys. That's a fun project that I'm working on this year. Different Harley dealerships around the country, because people who love Harleys, I don't know if you guys are bikers, but that's always a fun thing to have a customized humidor with your bike number on it and all of that.
Oh, yeah. Tut used to have one. He gave up the life when he
got married.
Yeah, I know the girls don't like us on that, but if we go early enough before they wake up, we sneak up.
Every time we do a movie with a biker gang or somebody on a bike, he just kind of gets quiet over there and well, let's skip ahead real quick to I believe around 1995 when you blended your first premium cigar. It seems like a natural transition coming from the humidor world. Was the first cigar you blended what we're smoking tonight the Black Label, or was it the Red Label, Daniel Marshall?
It was definitely the Black Label.
Black Label.
Shortly thereafter, the White Label, which is a Cameron wrap cigar, and then the Red Label came a couple years later. And it was an extension of, the whole evolution where I made Dunhill humidors for, say, a period of 15 years. I was making not only humidors, but desk accessories, desk collection, beautiful precious wood objects for the desk, clocks, decanter boxes, casino boxes, everything you could, always trying to build our company, and our basically we are owned by Dunhill because they were the only place you get a high-end humidor, only place basically to buy a humidor at that point. And then Dunhill decided to close all their shops in 1 year, and it was one of those things that we all experience. It's like losing a job. You think, well, what are we going to do next? My biggest customer is closing. So that vacuum was formed. And luckily, when you love something enough, there's just no option but to keep going, no matter how big or how small. Even if I'm making 10 a year, I'll just keep making 10 a year, and I'll just scale down my life. and my staff and my business and move back to my father's garage.
Sure, that sounds familiar.
Luckily, I didn't have to, because a guy called Marvin Shankin called me along with everybody else in the business at the time in 1992, and he was telling everybody, and he called me in my apartment, I remember, and he says, I'm starting a cigar magazine. And I was kind of really questioning the success or whether or not a cigar magazine would be successful.
Sure.
Again, because the market was fairly rarefied and fairly small at that time.
Yeah.
And I could tell, though, his enthusiasm, he was going to do it no matter what. And he said, you got to be a part of it. It's going to change your life. And I says, well, that's going to be good, because Dunhill's closing all their shops, and I'll be going from hero to zero very shortly now. So I'm into trying anything out. I said, how much are the ads? He says, well, $8,000. I says, well, I don't have $8,000. I just bought a bunch of wood for my humidor. He said, well, mortgage your house. I don't have a house, Marvin.
Jeez.
So what Marvin does, he's an improviser and an entrepreneur and a bootstrap kind of guy. He said, this is what we'll do, Danny. I'll invite you to New York. We're doing something what's called the Big Smoke. A bunch of people are going to get together. We're going to have a big party, and you can come and show off your humidors, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So 2 weeks later, I was in New York City showing off the humidors. We sold $20,000 that night. So I told him, Marvin, I'm in.
Right. No brainer.
So Marvin's kind of like really saved the day in our world for sure, and I think in a lot of other people's world too, because there was all the brands went. Now we finally had a way to showcase our products and tell our story through a magazine that could rate cigars, and so the reason I'm telling this long-winded story is because it led to doing big smokes around the country. And customers would come up to us and say, well, where's the Daniel Marshall cigar? I says, what do you mean? I make humidors. They said, no, we want your cigars, because we know you're fanatical about making those humidors. You would make an extraordinary cigar, because you don't rest until it's perfect and it's right and it's the way you want it and all that. So after about 2 years of hearing that, I was sitting having drinks with a guy called Manuel Quesada, who made many beautiful brands, and there was Arturo, Carlos Fuente was there, and George Padron, and Lito Gomez, and we were all one gang traveling around the country. And Manuel happened to be sitting next to me. He said, so Manuel, what do you think about this idea of making a cigar for me? And he said, Daniel, I'm in the middle of the cigar booth. We can't make our own cigars. We can't make enough for our customers. They're going to go crazy, but I'll do it. You're my friend. Let's go. So I traded him humidors for cigars. God knows why he wanted travel humidors to a certain size, but he had this vision to make a very special anniversary cigar. And I was happy trading him humidors for cigars, and that's how I got started. And it was very small. We only had 5,000 or 6,000 coming a month, and in bundles. And I would make the boxes, and then we'd date the boxes, and we'd hold them for a year before we released them. So that's really what got it all started back in 1996.
Well, and that's one thing I've always loved, Daniel, about your story is the fact that you do hold, once the cigars are produced, that you do hold them. I mean, it makes sense. You're Daniel Marshall, that you would store them in humidors for a year upon getting them. But I mean, that's a very unique touch. That it's. We talk a lot on the show about you'll get a hot cigar right when it hits market, and 2 weeks later you light it up, and wow, something's off. Put it in a good humidor for a few months or a little bit longer. Completely different with some rest. I mean that rest time in a well-seasoned humidor is invaluable and I think that's why I don't know. I think it's a really smart step that you do, and I'm surprised. I guess a lot more people don't do that, or at least in that style. But I do appreciate it.
Well, thank you, and I think as people's experience in cigar world develop over the years, they'll realize and they'll really taste the difference. And I think that's going to be a transformative kind of period coming up where you'll see more and more legitimately aged cigars coming on the market where they will be authentically aged, and not just this is a 100-year wrapper, believe it or not.
Sure, right.
Because you can taste the difference. There's no fooling around with the marketing idea there. It's a proven fact that a cigar is a living thing, and it develops character and body and resonance. And it depends on first the quality ingredients. If you start with top quality tobacco and it's age worthy, then you've got a real winner on your hands. That just like wine or whiskey or bourbon, it will continue to develop and continue to be, the flavors will be enhanced. And with time is the only element that you can't rush, and you will lose everything you don't want in a cigar. And I'm always looking for that rich and smooth. I want it all. I want it rich, but I want it super smooth, and I want it to draw like a dream. I don't want to huff and puff and blow the house down. I want it just be effortless with the draw. And when you do get to smoke some cigars that are just ancient, over say 5 to 10 years old, you will see that they just effortlessly draw. It's just remarkable. And I think we're lucky because we can keep our lights on with our humidors, and we don't have to depend on the cigar side of our business to support us. So we can be a little bit more ruthless with the aging process and with the quality than other companies. So we're fortunate with that.
Much like the film business, I'm drawn to interesting, unique characters in anything we do. But the cigar business, everyone has such a different story, where they came from whether it be yourself, Jonathan Drew. It's just there's so many good, interesting people with so many stories to tell. And unlike the film business, it seems there's just a lack of I'm not gonna say lack of ego. We've learned there's lots of egos in the cigar world, but there isn't that. At least what we don't see. There's not that kind of cutthroat, at least among the people that we choose to associate with.
There's a bit of an esprit de corps, if you will.
Define esprit de corps, Mr. Tuttle.
Camaraderie, respectful camaraderie.
There's not a desire to see others fail from what I've seen. I mean, there's a mutual respect there.
Yes, 100%. We all try and help each other and support each other. I will go to other people's events and buy a bunch of cigars, $100, $150 worth of cigars at least at everybody's event I go to, and no, they do the same for me. And you're right. It was really great last January. It was really a special moment too, when every year in Kitsville I do a big cigar night after a downhill ski race. And this year, the year before, some of the guys from Davidoff came, and people from Glenfiddich Whiskey came as guests. And then they said, this year, can we join the fun? Can we join the party? I says, you got it. Absolutely, let's do it. So it's kind of unusual in any kind of business where you have two different cigar brands mixing, with the whiskey, which we love to do with our friends at Glenfiddich and Balvenie. But it was really fun to have a partner with Davidoff and have them there with the Winston Churchill cigar, which is a spectacular cigar, and our Red Label cigars and the Gold cigar, and then great whiskey. So you're right, we all are part of one team, one group, and I love the successes of my brothers and sisters. It's just it's fun to celebrate, and there may be some that don't exactly celebrate.
Yeah, well,
there are always those people out there. I'm always surprised when they do come across, like when they surface, but it doesn't change how we feel about each other. For the most part, I'd say we're very, very lucky to be in this industry. And the whole idea of getting a cigar made during the cigar boom is an example of that. Because that's based on friendship. It's based on friendship. And then I was fortunate. Manuel introduced me to Nestor Plasencia. So I have our cigars are a combination. The Red Label, at least, are a combination of two great cigar geniuses, innovators, over probably 9 generations between the two of them. And I think that's one thing that is one of the hallmarks of our cigar that makes it special too, is that we just have such a heritage history of tradition behind the making of our cigars.
Oh, sure. And I'm sorry, Daniel, I cut you off. Is the Black Label, is that made at the Quesada factory?
Yes, it is. It's made in Dominican Republic, the exact same blend that we did in 1995, 1996. And it's funny enough, I have some from 96 in my personal archives in my factory. And I smoked it. And it's amazing to smoke something so old, 22 years old.
Oh my goodness!
But it had the same characteristics and flavor profile that the current ones do, that are say a year older. So what one can look for in that cigar? Well, I'd like you to tell me what your impressions are. But I was going for a really creamy kind of milk chocolate kind of a taste to it.
Okay.
I don't like mild cigars. I like them with some flavor, but this one is definitely creamy, with on a less scale of richness, if you will, where the Black Label is probably the least rich, and then the White Label is medium rich, and then the red is the full richness, all smooth though. They have to be smoother. I'm gonna reject it.
All right. Well, Daniel, we are the cigar experts, so we'll hunker down in the lab after the interview, and we'll give you our results. I'm very excited. Just the aroma.
I'm now an expert on the cold draw.
Yeah, we're getting there. Well, as you know, Daniel, film, especially films of our youth growing up in the 80s, play a huge role in what we do here on the Tuesday Night Cigar Club. So I would be remiss, and I would kick myself in my own ass if I did not take a second to ask about your special friendship with a certain somebody, the one and only Arnold Schwarzenegger. How did you icons meet?
Well, thank you for that. He's the icon. We met at his monthly cigar night at his restaurant called
Shotzi. Yeah.
Shotzi, Maine. And he was one of the first back in the early 90s. Again, doing exactly what you're doing, we're doing right here, sitting down, having drinks, having great conversation with friends, and talking about things we love. And that's what he loves to do, and that's what he created at Shotzi on Main in Santa Monica, right below his offices in a building that he had built there right by Gold's Gym. And so it was a very fortuitous evening that I was invited to the cigar night. One of those quirky things that I'll never forget, a lesson of life was, if there's ever a voice that tells us, don't go, I don't want to bother, I've gone to enough cigar nights, and this is one example of how you can't listen to that voice sometimes, because it wants to keep you from maybe missing out on a very special opportunity in your life. And that's what was going on in my head. I'd just come back from a trip of cigar nights, and my friend Ed Colpin, who built the Tinderbox Group, he started in Santa Monica with the oldest cigar shop, tobacco shop in America. It closed recently. He died about 12, 15 years ago. But he was about 60 years my senior, and every Saturday I would go into his legendary shop there on Wilshire Boulevard and just listen to his stories. Crazy stories. Like, I could talk for an hour about the different stories that this guy, he's a real innovator in the business. And then he went on with his sons to create the Tinderbox Group, franchised it, and then sold that off. But Ed was the one who invited me. Arnold was Ed's, the customer of Ed, and Arnold would buy our humidors through Ed. So Ed says, you got to come meet Arnold. He's going to, you'll have a great time. And I said, no, I don't want to go to another cigar night. And then Ed, the day of the cigar night, he said, Danny, I'm buying you the ticket. You're going. And those are the angels in our life that just, step in. And, then he never bought anybody anything. So I said, something's going on here. Ed to buy a $60 ticket for me. I better pay attention to this. So I'll go. So we show up. We sit at the little banquette. And I'll never forget, it was inside. These were the days you could do anything you want in a restaurant. And I look over, there's Danny DeVito. And then I think there's this guy that looks like Jim Cameron. And Arnold and all these interesting characters from all walks of life. It was a room that got so full of smoke you could not see. Before you know it, those guys I couldn't see after a few hours. And it was a typical, it reminds me of the cigar evenings we do now in Copenhagen. Well, they still do that. They lock up the windows and...
Oh my goodness.
But so Arnold walked around to all the tables and was introducing himself and thanking everybody for coming to his cigar night. And Ed introduced me, said, "This is Daniel Marshall, and he makes all your humidors." And Arnold looked at me with these blue steely eyes and he said, "You make those humidors?" And I says, "Yeah." And he said, "Can I have your card?" And so I looked at Ed. I said, "Ed, can I give him my card?" He said, "Okay, 10%. So I didn't hear anything from Arnold after that night. So I wrote him a letter, and I said, "Anytime I can ever make some special humidors from you," because I was all about making some unique pieces. And at that time, I was doing some extraordinary pieces for different companies from Bali of Switzerland and all kinds of different brands outside of the cigar world. And he picked up on my letter right away. His assistant called and says, "Arnold wants to come down and see your factory. He wants to check out your humidor, see what you're doing." And I said, "Sure, no problem." And I said, "When?" He says, "Well, now." So I met him and put out my humidors, and he loved the dome top piece, which I had just designed and come out with. We call it the treasure chest, and my love of pirates and sailing. So that humidor really evokes really what I love most. In my youth was the whole boating and pirate idea and gold coins and all that. So he liked that one. He chose it, and he asked me, "So how much?" So I said $1,500, and he told his secretary, "Write him a check." And you learn a lot about people when it comes to money,
Right?
Especially stars. And I was really impressed. That was like, whoa, he's paying. He's not like bargaining with me. There's that famous story of Cary Grant that when the guy who built, put in draperies in his house brought him the bill, Cary Grant said to the guy, "What's this for?" "Well, it's the bill for the draperies." He says, "Well, you're going to use my name, and you're going to become famous because of this and that."
Oh, sure.
So, but that wasn't Arnold. He wants to pay for everything and really appreciates. That's really one of the many things that attributed to his great success is because he does not forget any along the way, no matter who you are. He came from nothing, and he knows the struggle that we all go through, and he's a great appreciator of human beings. And so I felt appreciated and really grateful. And then the next day, he invited me out to the set of Eraser. He was filming Eraser in 1996. And the producer, Arnold Kopelson, who I had made humidors for before, loved cigars, so he wanted to give out custom humidors and frames and different things to the cast, crew, producers. And he was always very generous, giving wrap gifts. Called, like the movie wraps, everyone got an extraordinary present. And it usually had the name of the movie or the art from the movie and a handwritten note from Arnold. So I was very happy to do what I love most, is to create unique pieces with a theme. And so that started off the relationship with him. But I couldn't let it go. I mean, I'll never forget that I was really excited about the magazine Cigar Aficionado coming out, and I thought, wouldn't it be cool to get a picture of that treasure chest in his office and put it in an ad in Cigar Aficionado?
Yeah, you call Marvin.
I was just really kind of like crazy to even ask or even think about it, because he doesn't do any kind of product endorsements and all, but he showed an incredible gesture to me. And I'll never forget when I asked what he told me, and he then agreed. I won't go into it, but he agreed to do the picture, let me take a picture in his office, which then became a full-page back cover on the James Wood issue. I was really proud of that. It was Daniel Marshall on location in Arnold's office on his 2,000-foot table, and there was all his trophies in the background, and then a letter from him to me to thank, that the humidor is great and I'll enjoy my cigars and all this stuff. So that was a major dream come true for me, and I did that. And of course, there was a little challenge that went along with that picture. And he said he had some really old French boxes that he bought for over $10,000 each. And to the day, we're still doing this. He's finding stuff in antique shops in London. Like he just found a 100-pound safe, and I converted it into a humidor, and he's going to auction it for a lot of money, raise money for charity.
Oh,
and that was just 6 months ago. So we're still doing the same thing 20 years later.
Oh, that's awesome.
But he said, "You want that picture? Go to my house. And what time are we coming in tomorrow for a racer? 7. So, okay, there'll be humidors at 7, won't they? If you want that picture." And you guys know what I did. I went right to the house, picked up them, went to the factory. I worked all night. I was there at 7, didn't sleep. But those French antique 500-year-old boxes were now humidors.
Oh, what a story.
That's a short version of how I met him. And then he introduced me to the beautiful joy of giving back and what charitable effort can feel like and how fun it can be to raise money for great causes. And so this has become a lifelong passion of mine to help in every way I can to create wonderful humidors, a beautiful collection of cigars that can be auctioned off for a lot of money. And recently you guys may have seen the press of different humidors that have gone up for auction for hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Oh yeah, it's so awesome.
Yeah,
anytime our industry helps out for charity, we mentioned the Florida Barn Smoker we were at raised almost $15,000 for Cigars for Warriors, one of our favorite charities. But it's a very giving industry, and any kind of help they can raise, especially for Arnold, and I think yourself does a lot for kids and kids charities. That's just so awesome to see. You have just actually, real quick, before we get to the final thing tonight, I got to ask, as adult beverages are a key component to what we do, when you and Arnold light up and share a cigar, what are you guys drinking? What is Arnold? Is he a schnapps guy? Is he a beer guy?
Yeah, it's a lot of times cigar thing can accompany all kinds of activities, whether it's after skiing or after bike riding or lunchtime or in the afternoon. But as far as the alcohol beverages go, I think schnapps is always a great combination with the chess game. Some schnapps is always amazing, and great whiskey, cognac. There's this Louis XIII, which we enjoy from time to time, and nice red wine, and but it's vodka and cranberry juice is always enjoyable. But for the most part, it's not too much of the drinking. It's just to taste the cigar. I think that's
sure.
A nice beer every now and then.
And I've seen lots of pictures with him with your Red Label. He's a big fan. Yeah,
well, that's thank you. I was really fortunate because when he became governor, he said, "So where are my cigars with my name on them?" I said, "What do you mean?" I said, "You're going to give cigars out at the Capitol?" He said, "Yeah."
Ballsy. Very ballsy.
That was to do for 7 years to create the Red Label cigar with the name on them, and I don't. Every now and then you see them on eBay, but for the most part, out of those thousands, I think people are saving them.
Oh, I can understand that.
In collectible items, but over the years, it's always great fun to make, movie-themed humidors. And the movie you're watching tonight, we never made a Batman humidor, but I think that would be fun to do. Maybe one of the future Batman series.
I know you made End of Days, The Sixth Day. I'm forgetting one. I saw the 6-day humidor I've seen is amazing. It's a really cool looking humidor. Did you make an eraser?
Yeah.
I did.
You did. Okay, I haven't seen the eraser one. That's one of my favorite Arnold films. I'd like to see one of those.
Terminator humidors came out really nice.
Oh, Terminator 3. That's what it was.
2 different versions of Terminator humidors, and then of course the Governor humidor, and that's the one that we're auctioning actually this Saturday at a fundraiser at his house for the After School All Stars. Raised $2 million for that, so that's going to be really exciting.
Oh wow! Well, we'll be there in spirit, and by that I mean we'll be here.
I might create a fake account so my wife doesn't catch me.
You gonna do some bidding, are
I
you?
might be doing some bidding.
Well, Daniel, before we let you go, the main reason Daniel is here with us tonight, and it's a very good reason, is to promote his new Cash for Clunkers program. I'm going to turn it over to Daniel now. Mr. Marshall, this is a cool concept, and for people who think that they can never obtain a Daniel Marshall humidor, or maybe it's just a little too much out of their reach, this offers a really cool way to help them get one step closer to owning a piece of art that you've created in their house. If you would, tell us a little bit about Cash for Clunkers.
Sure, well, my pleasure. It is my, as you guys know, my reason for living is to really try to tell the importance of the humidor, the reason for the humidor, and how it can benefit our cigar experience. And if you don't have your cigars in a humidor that it will keep some kind of humidity at a certain stability, you're really not enjoying the cigar experience in anywhere, shape, or form as you could. And so I was sitting around with a group of guys at the Grand Havana room, and they were from the political world, and they were talking about this Cash for Clunker program, which happened around the time when Obama took office, and the American car industry was really, really suffering.
Yeah, I remember
and
that.
So the concept was, we give $5,000 or $10,000 or whatever the amount of money was, no matter what you want to turn in. And some people turned in some pretty nice cars in order to get an American-made car. And of course, it's more fuel efficient and all that, so better performance, better experience. So I said, you know what? I got to do this with humidors. And I try from time to time different programs of whether, with the humidors, to try and make the humidors as approachable as possible. Because I really want to I want an affordable luxury. I'm a simple guy. I came from very modest background, and I want quality, but I want it at a good price, and I want a brand name. So I'm always trying to find a way to do that. So I said, we got to do it this year. There's too many Chinese humidors out there, too many disappointed stories, and it is like a wildfire has taken off. And ever since we announced this program, now we're at over 200 humidors have been sent in.
Nice.
And you guys wouldn't believe it, but yesterday I was in the factory looking through some of them, and it's so much fun to check out what people are sending. And some are the kind that you would expect to come back, and then others are really nice looking. And then I even found a Dunhill humidor, which somebody paid over $1,000, which had cracked and warped, and they had traded it in for $100. And I'm going to showcase that one.
Oh, sure.
As a real piece. And there are even people who have dropped Daniel Marshall humidors are sending in Daniel Marshall humidors. So the testimonials are great from women and men all over the country saying, finally, I get to get rid of this piece of junk. That's, one guy said, it's more labor to keep my humidor going than it's worth.
Sure.
And it's destroying my cigars and my investment. It's making me want to quit cigars and all that. So I'm really thrilled that it's working. So we give already the humidors are at a good price, and then we give $100 off the humidor, and we will send them anyone a UPS label, so they don't have to pay any money to ship us their clunker. And and that's kind of like how the program works. And so we're going to do it for as long as we can. It won't be too much longer, I don't think, because it's just wiping through our stock so quick.
Sure.
Oh no!
Well,
I'm just thrilled that we're giving these people the opportunity and experience to really have something they'll cherish their whole life, and it's not just one life, but many lifetimes.
That means I've got to get my what you would expect humidor in the mail quickly.
Hurry up.
I was
Get
about
it
to
in
say
there.
because it's. I think art is a really good word because that's just one of the things that I really appreciate about your humidors is that they look beautiful.
There are.
And
They really are. You know, we talked a lot on our last episode about craft, the real definition of craft and craftsmen. And I mean, like you said, that's something that they're going to keep in their they're going to not only keep in their lifetime, they're going to pass down to their sons. I mean, this is something that's going to stay with them. And I cringe when I'm in a Facebook cigar group and a new cigar smoker comes on there and asks, "Hey, I think I'm finally addicted. You know, I'm to the culture. I'm loving cigars. Recommend a good humidor." And there's always that guy that's like, "Oh, just get a cooler, a plastic cooler, and some Bovita pack. You know, you don't need a wooden humidor." And I just get down on my knees and scream to the sky. I'm like, no. These new members of the community need to get completely entrenched in tradition and season their first humidor and watch it, you know, age. It's such a beautiful thing. And the thought of just getting your cigars and dumping them in a $20 plastic cooler just makes me sick. A little bit of a rant there. I'm sorry.
I absolutely have the same feeling that you do, and it's exciting to see these humidors come back. And I made for an event that we did last Saturday in Newport Beach with Cigar and Spirits magazine. It was a lot of fun, and I said, you know what, we got to show off this Cash for Clunker. So we took a big drill bit and a steel rod, and we drilled through the tops, and we really got to see how these humidors were made awfully quick. And we stacked them all together, bolted them together, and it makes a good visual. So certain shops around the country that want to participate in this Cash for Clunker turn-in program will be getting this display of 8 bolted together clunkers. But this is an example of one of our humidors. It's our desk travel humidor, and we keep our golden cigar in it. But you know, you're right. The humidors are not only, they look nice, but they're built to last forever. And I can tell you that one quick story, if you guys have time.
Sure.
I call it became the Noah's Ark of cigar humidors when a guy at a Big Smoke came over to tell me, I have a testimonial for you. I live in Louisiana, in New Orleans, and when Hurricane Katrina came, we all had to leave our home for a week. And it happened so fast, the evacuation, that I couldn't grab my humidor. And so I came back a week later after the water had receded, and I walk in my house, and of course, my wife's going in another direction, and I'm going right to where my humidor was. So it had moved from the table across the room to the floor. And still, you can imagine, like your story of a guy just throwing the cigars in a cooler, his feeling of walking over to that humidor, and God knows what he's going to find with his hundreds of dollars of investment of favorite cigars.
Sure.
And he opened them up, and the cigars were perfect. He looked at the humidor. It was perfect. Nothing had changed, so it floated across the room.
I like it. The Noah's Ark.
Well, I found
hurricane and a flood, and you guys can count on them. And if anything goes wrong, we're there to help.
Awesome. What were you gonna say, Ted?
Oh, I just I got into a little bit of a woodworking phase not too long ago.
Uh-huh.
And I actually found a PDF that it's Daniel Marshall wrote an article, and it was kind of a walkthrough on how to make a humidor.
Is that legitimate, Daniel? Or
this was like it had to been in the 90s or the early aughts.
Late 90s?
And go ahead.
We did it, I think, right? It was the making of the Scarface humidor.
Yes.
That was really fun. Universal Studios came to us and wanted us to make special packaging for their Blu-ray release of the movie Scarface, which would be a great movie. I don't know if you guys have watched Scarface.
It's on the list.
There's a great movie to watch while you're enjoying a cigar.
Oh, yes,
drink.
yeah.
And so they knew I could make good presentation boxes, and I had some creative ideas of what to do, and they wanted to make a chair and all kinds of stuff. I said, guys, humidor, what are you talking about? Make a Tony Montana humidor.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
And they said, forget it. We could never sell it. Nobody would ever spend that kind of money on a humidor. I said, you sure? I'll prove it to you. So I had them go talk to some of the biggest cigar shops in Nat Sherman in New York, and they talked to a shop in Beverly Hills called Nazareth, and a couple other places. And they asked them, do you think we could sell $1,000 Scarface humidor? Every one of them said, I'm in, I want to buy it, I'll commit to 20 or 15 or whatever. And so I convinced them. They agreed to make 1,000 humidors. They sold them for $1,000 each. And in Germany on Amazon, they sold 200 in like 3 minutes, they told me. So that video that you're referring to, it was such a fun project to do. We had 2 months to make 1,000 humidors for them, each individually packed, so they could sell them through Amazon and whatnot. But that was a fun project, and that's where that video we showed some of the secrets, not all the secrets. And then, thanks to that movie and making that, the crazy accident of the gold cigar was an evolution of that project.
Oh, that's where that came from. Tud, I'm guessing you followed the blueprints and did not make no, not yet. Okay.
Much like everything else with Tuesday Night Cigar Club, I almost started and then I just didn't.
You decided to sit back and smoke a cigar and drink a beer instead.
Pretty much.
Okay. Well, Daniel, thank you so much for spending some time with us. I would love nothing more than to pick your brain for several more hours, but I just really want to smoke the cigar and dive into the Daniel Marshall Black Label. But I would certainly like to leave this open to maybe join us in the future. And it's just been really fun talking to you. I've looked up to you for a long time. You're one of the first when I got into cigars, reading Cigar Aficionado and the early magazines. I just always appreciated your approach to your craft, and you just seem like a really solid man, a really solid guy. So thank you very much for giving some guys like us a little bit of your time.
The feeling's total, Mitch. Can't wait to do it again, and let's make it happen in person one of these days.
Oh, I would love nothing more. I'll leave you with this, Daniel. You mentioned the campfire, the bonfire earlier. One of your favorite quotes I read. You said, "Cigar smoking is about the mutual experience, like in prehistoric times at the bonfire. Cigars are the modern-day campfire, bringing us friends together, beyond all social differences, in perfect harmony." I love that quote, and I want to thank Daniel Marshall for joining our little bonfire here tonight. It was a true honor. So thank you, Daniel. We'll do this again soon.
Thank you, guys. Keep it lit. Enjoy.
All right. Thank you, sir.
See you soon.
You bet. What an interview.
What an interview.
Yeah.
Shit.
Can we just talk about the interview now for another hour? Let's just keep going with that.
We've interviewed a lot of folks, film folks, cigar folks. That one was special, man. The guy's seen it all. What a story. What a down to earth, just class act. I keep going back to that class act, but I mean the guy just exudes class. I'm a Daniel Marshall fan. I'm a much bigger fan after talking to him.
It's amazing because, like I said, 3 years ago, I didn't know who Daniel Marshall was. I mean, without you going here's some cigars that we're going to review. They're Daniel Marshall. I was like, who's this?
I saw the name. I mean,
it's crazy.
We have a subscription to Cigar Aficionado magazine, so I always would see the name, but I never. It was one of those things you read an ad, whatever, you just skip over it and not even think about it.
Yeah, it was really good. I hope you guys at home enjoyed listening to it as much as we enjoyed talking to him.
I actually liked him talking about going into cigar aficionado because, you know, he's talking about that in the cigar boom, so like the mid 90s, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you flash forward, 15, 20 years down the road. And because there's a lot of guys that give cigar aficionado crap, but it's interesting how that relationship saved Marshall humidors and saved a lot of the cigar guys. You know, I just thought that was really kind of an interesting thing.
It really is, and it also is a testament, like he said, of people that come into your life at different times, and things just work out the way they're supposed to work out. And things are certainly working out for Mr. Marshall. And again, just really appreciate him taking an hour out of his evening to talk to us guys. The Tuesday Night Cigar Club.
Can you believe we just talked to
Look at
Daniel
us.
Marshall?
That was really cool. Well, we do still have a movie to talk about. Why don't you guys light up your Dana Marshall cigars?
Can we finally do that?
Yes,
Oh my God.
you can. I was watching him on the Skype video,
Just
smoking away.
and I'm like, what?
Well, we tend to want to wait because we want to discuss as we smoke, and I never feel, for whatever reason, I don't feel comfortable doing that with the cigar maker, talking while we're talking to them.
Yeah.
Not that it would happen, but all of a sudden you get just a horrible, or something happens with the cigar. It's like,
This is ass.
I'm getting notes.
I'm sitting right here.
I'm getting notes of ass. I'm getting notes of squirrel droppings. No, we'll do that after the fact. Please let there be no notes of squirrel droppings in tonight's cigar. I doubt there will be.
I was waiting for him to actually lay it. It's like, what are we supposed to taste tonight? Squirrel droppings. Damn it.
It's a specific goal.
Basically, just pick up the sawdust off my shop floor and roll it into a cardboard. Call it a cigar. No.
Not
So am I
Daniel
the
Marshall.
only one that's getting like Creole seasoning off that cold draw?
I did not get Creole seasoning. Like in the big green tube, that kind of...
Tony Satchery's, baby. I just almost sounded like Snagglepuss there.
Now, I don't
You
know if
did.
I'm
Tony
tasting it because you're
Satchery's
saying
thing.
it or actually tasting
I'm
it.
telling you, I think you are.
No, I got no
I
kind
totally-
of spice
I-
or anything on the
It's
cold
a
draw.
shrimp bowl in my mouth.
All right.
No, that's right. There's something in there.
Okay.
I have been sucking on this damn thing for like the last 30 minutes.
That's what she said.
Next humidor he puts out is actually the Tony Satchery's.
Let me see your cigar for a second. 'Cause I'd actually taken a few
I've
draws
been letting it
before
marinate in this. I just sprinkle the seasoning onto the cigars.
All right, now I don't know if I'm getting it because you asshole said it, or
That's what I'm saying.
maybe a little bit.
You know you're tasting it.
A little. There's a little season. A little.
That is the funkiest cold draw I've
Seasons.
ever had.
I am getting some food seasonings, and I guess that's probably the closest thing. It's not a Mrs. Dash or a
No, it's straight up Creole, baby.
But there is absolutely no Cajun spice upon ignition. You're not going to You're not going to get any spice on this.
So
cigar.
weird.
All right.
Never had that before.
You know what? Let me introduce the movie, and then I'll come back after you guys have had a chance to explore the cigar a little bit. Tonight, because we talked to one of Arnold's good friends, Daniel Marshall, we are, as we always do with Daniel Marshall cigars, we have paired it with an Arnold movie. It is the summer of comic book movies.
It is the summer of comic books.
So we're going to do it TNCC style and talk about 1997's Batman and Robin.
You mean a horrible comic book movie?
It's a great.
When you said
Horrible
TNCC?
comic book movie. Written by Akiva Goldsman, who would go on to win an Oscar for A Beautiful Mind, if you can imagine that.
I thought you were about to say you win an Oscar for this one. Like, God, how? How did he do it?
Yeah, the guy who wrote this won an Oscar. And directed by Joel Schumacher.
Well, you know, it actually the guys that did this movie, the writers, the director, they have solid, like, there's these guys have done things like, you're like, man, look what This is a solid.
Oh, before this, Joel Schumacher, the director, before this, he had done Batman Forever, the previous Val Kilmer film, which it wasn't terrible, but didn't really bring anything too much away from it. But he also directed some really good films. Falling Down with Michael Douglas.
Oh, yeah.
Lost Boys.
I think Falling Down was wasn't it nominated?
Maybe.
Yes.
Lost Boys.
Lost Boys.
And DC Cab.
There you go.
He directed DC Cab with Mr. T for
This
Pete's
guy
sake.
has done things.
He's done things.
He's worked with Mr. T.
He's
Come
done
on.
things.
Well, so has George Clooney. George Clooney, worked on Roseanne that one time.
He was in Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Everybody
And
starts
now-
somewhere.
And now he's not gonna. He's not gonna be able to do his reprisal role
He
on
will not
Roseanne.
be able to do a walk-on Roseanne.
Sorry.
She got what she
You never
deserved.
know. They could figure out some way to salvage that sinking ship.
I think you bring in Christopher Plummer, like when he replaced Kevin Spacey in that movie. He's Roseanne now. Put him in some mom jeans.
Christopher Plummer.
This is really weird.
Christopher Plummer, we need you to work your magic once again.
You're
All right.
Roseanne.
I'm just here in Middle America.
And if John Goodman is anything like he was in that Bruce Willis movie, so he'll go along with anything. Okay.
I love John.
I've solved all of my inner demons, so I'm just here for the ride now.
Kind of the vibe I get from it. All right, Batman and Robin. Light up your cigar, damn it.
John Goodman.
When you got some talking to do.
If you've solved all your demons, are you just here for the ride? Yes. Yes.
Do I have to move off this couch while we film? No, you
No,
don't.
it's Roseanne. You just sit there. Oh, great.
Perfect. The show's being canceled. Let me know when I need to get up.
He's still on that couch.
I'm sorry. I love you, John Goodman.
I do love John Goodman.
Love John Goodman.
He'll bounce back. He was just fine. He was just fine.
Oscar nominated dude.
before
Yeah,
Roseanne.
he's all right.
Um,
And one of the few people qualified to play Tut in the Tut documentary.
You've thrown out Steve Buscemi as
Those
you
are the only two.
and John Goodman.
Those are the only two.
It's a pretty diverse.
The only two.
Wide range of where do we want to see Tut?
No, I wanted Steve Buscemi to play young me.
Wait, what?
Yikes. Okay, well,
That is true.
it's interesting. It's interesting.
17-year-old Tut played by Buscemi.
I'll direct that film. I'll direct the shit out of that film.
Bet your ass you will.
Well, neither one of those guys are in Batman and Robin, unfortunately. I'm going to go ahead. Before I get into this, first impressions upon ignition.
Very mild. Definitely a lot milder than the red. Still has some flavor.
Completely
Yeah,
different.
still has some flavor to it. I do get a little bit of that cream that he was talking about.
On the Retro Hill, I get tons of cream on the Retro Hill.
This is going to be another weird one.
Oh, gee. Turn the music down for a little bit, please. All right, what you got?
Am I going to tasting pickles?
Pickles? No, I'm getting cream on the Retro Hill. First of all, I'm a little bit ahead of you guys because I lit up for some pictures before the show. Construction-wise, what did he say? The longer you let him age, the smoother the airflow you're going to get.
Yeah.
He refuses to release something without... The draw is beautiful. I just barely clipped the torpedo cap. Look at the burn line on that thing. Stack of nickels.
Yeah.
Yours is too. Perfect construction. I'm getting just pure creaminess through the nose on the Retro Hail.
Actually, on the Retro Hill, I'm getting woodsy.
I'm getting woodsy on the actual on my palate. I'm getting a cedar, a woodsy cedar, and a very faint milk chocolate on my palate.
Getting a little leather.
A little bit of leather, faint,
Just
on the
very faint.
on the palate.
Yeah.
Cream
But,
on the cream on the nose.
Yes, that is
Yeah,
very prominent.
there's a just
but
a
I got
hint.
that hint of leather. A little bit, maybe it's going to go more woodsy here towards
That nice. I just walked into a saddle shop. Smell leather.
Yes.
I'm not getting that. I'm getting. It's almost like a.
It's real faint.
The chocolate I'm getting is almost like a.
See, I'm not getting the
a
chocolate
milk
at all.
a chocolate milk kind of vibe off of it, which is really interesting with the
Yoo-hoo?
with the cedar. No, like
Nestle.
Quick,
Yeah,
Nestle
Nestle
Quick, little Nestle Quick going, but super smooth.
I like that cedar though. It's not a very dominant, like, sometimes when you smoke a cedar profile, it's just like burning the burning
Well, yeah,
the nose.
especially with some when you get a woodsy profile with like the
This is
mesquite or the
straight up
hickory or
smooth,
the.
man.
No, this is a very faint cedar.
and it's smooth.
It's very smooth. I'm gonna come back. You guys smoke up a little bit. We start things off with the Warner Brothers picture logo on the screen, which quickly transforms into an iced over Batman symbol. Which, as a young guy, I was all about. I was like, hell yeah, it's Mr. Freeze's movie. They're showing you right up front. This is gonna be Arnold's movie, and that's only emboldened by the first name on the screen is Arnold Schwarzenegger, not Clooney's Batman, but Arnold. Hey man, you give a guy $25 million for a movie, you bet your balls you're putting his name. This is heyday Arnold.
Well,
Like,
I
this
remember,
is
I remember
movie
the
star Arnold.
I remember the promotion of this, and it was heavy Arnold.
Oh,
Arnold.
man,
Arnold.
This was at his ape. He's at the top of the mountain at this point, and boy, those first few seconds when I see the ice and I see his name, I'm like, all right, as a lifelong Arnold guy, I'm like, here we go.
Yeah.
Let me take a drink.
Let's go ahead and
Keep
drinking.
Well, whatever goodwill that was earned in that opening very quickly, super duper quickly, dissipates as we cut to a quick montage of Batman and Robin, played by Chris O'Donnell, suiting up in the Batcave. We see them pull on their gloves, put on their masks, grab a million batarangs and various bat weapons. That's all fine and dandy. But also, and it's a big but also, rather two tight little but alsos, they squeeze into their extremely tight rubber pants, which they wiggle their little asses into, and it's photographed in some extremely tight frame shots, close-ups, if you will, of their asses in these suits. Oh, and they also wear really big bat cod pieces, which we also are shown in close-up of them buckling their
gotta
pants
protect
up.
when you're crime fighting. You gotta protect the jewels.
Oh, and we also see that their costumes now have, for some reason, prominently displayed erect nipples. For some reason,
it gives space for if it's cold, you're going to be battling Mr. Freeze.
Well, they're supposed to
If
be-
you get stiff, you want
first
some
of
room
all,
for your nipples.
Let's just get this out there. Am I the only one who was disappointed in this movie? Whenever Mr. Freeze showed up, shouldn't the bat nipples have gotten like? How cool would that have been?
I mean,
Didn't
I
have
was
to
waiting-
show
I was
it, but
waiting- I
like
was
maybe
waiting
like
for
they
one of
cut
the-
and then you cut back to him like their nipples just get bigger every time Freeze is there. Their nipples, or at least with Batgirl, that'd be kind of awesome.
I was just waiting for them at least to actually them to be part of the thing. Like they just pull them off and they're throwing stars or something. I don't
Some use for him. Yeah,
like one of those floor traps, the things that you throw
Smoke
on
bomb.
the floor.
No, they don't really explain the nipples or the cod pieces or those tight little ass shots. But even as a young, naive filmgoer, I remember sitting in the theater thinking, "Oh boy, what is this?
Why did I just see badass?
What's happening?"
Was it badass? No,
I
no,
know-
bat.
I think I actually
never-
remember saying out loud in the theater, "What's happening? What is this?"
I never got that worked up over the suits and the nipples. I know that's like an easy thing for people to
Well,
really
in
kind of go
hindsight,
to.
sure, everybody makes fun, but I'm talking about. I can remember in the theater watching those tight asses on that giant screen, and something's off. Like this isn't Tim Burton's Batman.
No, it is not.
This isn't right. Like something's going crazy here. And this is like a Warner Brothers huge summer movie, and I'm looking at Robin's tight little butt cheeks up on screen.
Looking at his
And they
tight
linger
little
that.
butt
They
cheeks.
don't cut. These aren't fast cuts. It stays on it for a while.
It's one of those where they're rapid fire and then all of a sudden slow motion, boom, and back to action. Why did we?
It's a very weird opening montage. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, I wanted to be in the editing room. All right, slow it down. Keep it slow it down.
Slow it. Do it.
Slower.
I wanted
Cut
to be
it-
on
cut it
set
dosable.
with the director. Like, hey, I need a little more light on his left cheek, and then can you give me a bounce board down there? I want.
Oh, good job, cinematographer. You can't get the shadow across the right cheek right.
Oh, but then they walk over to the glitzy new Batmobile down the Batcave,
This sucks.
and Robin says, I want a car. Chicks dig a car. And I think that's... I added up those butt cheeks, the cod piece, the nipples, and then that, and I kind of knew, like, all right, this is what's happening here. This is what I'm getting. I better just I got to assimilate
and
my
process.
expectations to what I'm getting quickly.
Oh, my bar's here?
Or it's going to be a very long 2 hours.
It kind of already is.
Well, as Batman and Robin on his Robin cycle, the Batmobile this time only has one seat for the first time, I think.
Well, and it's gotten smaller.
Well, it's basically a tube. It's like a rocket with a little...
I didn't
Well,
like
I know.
it.
I mean,
didn't
it's
like it at
like
all.
even smaller. I mean, the original from the first
Burton movie?
Burton movie with Keaton was I mean, it was a 2-seater. It was bigger. It felt
Utilitarian?
right. And this one then was just basically like neon lights on wheels. It
That
just-
pretty much was.
It looked like a cool toy to sell to kids, which is a running theme in this movie. But as they speed off...
I was about to say, I think this whole movie was made to sell stuff. Not just toys,
that-
but everything.
That was kind of a vibe. I'll get into that a little bit later among the cast and crew. As they speed off, though, out of the Batcave, they've been called out on a assignment. We even see trusty old Alfred, the butler, look in pain. He's leaning up against a wall like he might vomit, like just really troubled.
I'm 114 years old. I'm going to die.
I think they just filmed him when he was reading the script. Capture it. Capture it.
Here's your next scene.
Because he's just kind of saying,
Here,
All right, is the
All right.
lighting right? Sir, can you get right here?
I just need you to cite your next
Get
line
your
of dialogue.
cue.
Alfred,
Get your
could you read page 56 where you deliver that speech to your granddaughter? I'm 98 years old, for God's
Oh,
sake.
that is so good. That actor is so good. He delivered so well.
I really think I was seeing like a premonition of something with Alfred. Let's take a cigar pick. Well, we cut to the Gotham City Museum, where Mr. Freeze, Arnold baby,
Good old Arnold.
is turning everything and everyone into solid ice. The Iceman cometh. One poor bastard security guard pleads for mercy, but Freeze tells him that my condition has left me cold to your pleas of mercy. Dude, 2 cold puns, his first 2 lines. Love it. Lots of cold puns in this thing.
It's
Say what you want here, and I'm sure you guys will. Whatever. I always dug Arnold in this movie. It's not just because I'm a huge Arnold fan. It's because everyone else in this movie, and I'm going to get into this a lot tonight, acts like they've never acted before. He acts like he's doing exactly what he was brought in there to do. Be a huge personality and just go nuts, but in a very Arnold-like way.
well, you know,
And I think he succeeds at that.
and I'll just jump in there and say this right now. By the time you end up finishing this scene that's about to happen and go through everything, you realize real quick that, yeah, this is not like the previous Batmans. It's basically, and they forgot to tell the audience and everyone who was expecting to walk in, like, oh, wait a second. We took the tone and the color palette, the
The
costumes.
set design is 1960s Batman on horse steroids and psychedelic mushrooms.
Pretty much, yes.
That's what this movie is.
This is 1960s Batman, but we just decided to use everything.
We threw $100 million at it and just went crazy. And I guess maybe that's why I kind of have come to I love 1960s Batman.
Well, yes, but they forgot to tell you, like, hey, check this out.
I know you've liked this dark, brooding Batman that's, played it fairly straight-laced and pretty... Not this time. No. But I had the exact same thought. This is 1960s Batman done big on the big stage.
Yeah.
Of course, like you said, going into it, I had no idea that's what I was getting. And that's a big matzo ball to throw out there without warning people.
Unfortunately, I'm a huge fan of the animated series, and Arnold's not he's not Mr. Freeze. He's just not. This character that's up there is not Mr.
Who?
Freeze.
I'm sorry, I don't watch cartoons. Who plays him in the animated series?
Oh, I don't know.
You like
well-
that version of Mr. Freeze?
Yeah.
Well, he was voiced by it's like Daniel LaMarche, but it's very cold. It's very monotone. Ideally, Schwarzenegger is actually perfect for the Mr. Freeze. He could have literally just done the Terminator, but with lines,
Yeah.
and it would have been
Yeah.
ideal. Like emotionless. He's cold. His like.
He's
literally-
He's an analytical. He's a scientist.
Like
I mean,
he
he's
has none of the burning
he's
passion
not-
of a human being.
He's
The
not
coal has
sitting
stripped
there
that
with
away.
his polar bear slippers, directing people. And trust me, it's looking at this movie. I have an appreciation for the character Arnold plays here, and an appreciation for what the film was trying to do, kind of. But yeah, in terms of being in terms of Batman lore,
I don't think it was
no.
even trying to do that. I think that's just kind of what it ended up being. I don't know. Well, Batman and Robin bust up Freeze's party just as he's about to get away with a giant fucking diamond. But Freeze isn't scared. You're not sending me to the cooler.
Third line.
Third cold pun. Third line. He sicks his army of ice skating, razor blade, hockey stick wielding henchmen after the dynamic duo kill the heroes. And we're off. It's a good thing our heroes have ice skate blades that pop out of their boots. For
How did they know that they were going to need them? I mean,
Exactly.
The Bat boots have.
I mean, they only get like one little like blurb. There's a new villain in town. He calls himself Mr. Freeze.
Quick, get the boots with the ice
Get the
skates.
boots with the ice skates.
But they were already left the house. They were already
Oh,
traveling.
that's true. They were.
I mean, how are they supposed to know?
I think they have boots that anything they want pops out of them. They're Batman and Robin.
I guess
Tango
so.
and Cash boots.
So they skate around using the diamond as a hockey puck. All the combat is very cartoonish. We're a long way from Tim Burton's Batman.
Well, I was
obviously.
just waiting for them to like stop and like him punch someone, and you get the little pow on screen and kaplam.
One tiny level beat below that. And
I
we're
would loved it if he would have just said "pow."
and God forbid we're in a hugely, vastly different universe than the Nolan Dark Knight stuff, which I'm in the minority. I'm not a big fan of, but man, this thing is just aesthetically so campy. And once I settled in and accepted that this is what was going on, I kind of embraced it. I mean, what the fucking choice did I have? I'm in here for 2
You're
hours.
already in there.
You better enjoy it. When Freeze blasts off in an escape rocket, Batman goes up with him. Once Freeze has him Batman frozen to the wall, and he told him how high the high altitudes of space are going to freeze him solid and soon kill him. Robin shows up. He was clinging to the outside of the rocket the whole time. And Batman is not happy to see him. He told Boy Wonder, you stay down at the museum and round up some thugs. But Robin wants the big stage, guys. And he begins melting Batman's frozen handcuffs with his little heat gun. Mr. Freeze escapes, and so do the dynamic duo as they kick two of the rocket's doors off and proceed to surf from space back down to Earth, which, of course, Robin yells out, "Cowbunga, man!" Even for this movie, the space surfing scene is just too
How
fucking
did
much.
they know that they could just kick the doors off and then use them as sky surfboards?
I'm pretty sure that's not how sky surfing works.
I don't know.
Well, anyway, when they land back down to Earth, Robin makes a hasty move for Freeze, despite Batman's warning, and he freezes Robin into a block of solid ice. Stay cool, bird boy.
At this point, it's like
Nobody else could play that. I'm sorry. Nobody else could
It's
say
like
those
his
lines.
100th one-liner that he said.
Batman is forced to let Freeze run off as he has to thaw his little...
Well, yes, but what I love more than anything else here is he's like, can you do it? You only have 11 minutes to unfreeze. Well, you're like standing like 20 feet away. He could have like stopped him.
Well, first of all, it seems like if you're...
It would have been different. He said you
solid
only
ice.
have 10 seconds to save him.
Well, if you're frozen in solid ice, I think 11 minutes is kind of crazy. You're going to be dead before 11 minutes.
He was going to run out of
Can't
oxygen.
breathe.
I was
You
just like,
can't breathe. Anyway,
it's such an arbitrary number. How
it's
how
a
do you make-
superhero movie.
Disbelief suspended.
Well, Batman's forced to let Freeze run off as he thaws out his wise-ass little know-it-all sidekick. As Freeze runs, though, he froze the doorway so Batman couldn't follow him. There's a moment where he stops, wipes off the ice like you would your car windshield, and waves to Batman, and does the Arnold laugh. That's why you hire Arnold for this, dude. Bigger than life. You're hiring him for his sense of humor. Those quiet moments where he's got to be serious, he does pretty good. But man, you're hiring him for the giant personality in this thing. And those little moments, I dig it. When he stops and waves goodbye, I love that. Anyway, nobody's gonna be. Well, let's face it. Look at him up on the screen. Nobody's gonna be afraid of this character. They just need a big, charismatic dude to be in that suit, and there's nobody bigger and more charismatic than Arnold. He's got to rise above the bullshit script and all the other nonsense. And he's literally the only one that delivers in this movie. That's something, right? Right?
Well,
guys? Right?
I was really kind of coming, I really grew on the character Bane. I think he really brought it.
Well, you know what else? You know what else delivers, boys, besides Arnold as Mr. Freeze? Undercrown cigars from our friends at Drew Estate. For those who work hard and play hard, the new Undercrown Sungrown features an Ecuadorian Sumatra seed sun-grown wrapper. The binder is a Connecticut River Valley stock-cut, cured, sun-grown Habano, complementing a powerhouse blend of Nicaraguan premium fillers. One leaf of extensively aged Lajero from the Nueva Segovia region along the border of Honduras has been selected to enhance the strength of the blend. We featured them on an episode last year and enjoyed them so much we named it our number 9 cigar of 2017. So track yourself down a handful of Undercrown Sun-Grown cigars and try one today.
All right.
Speaking of cigars, how you guys enjoying the Daniel Marshall Black Label?
Before we get into that, let me send out some links. You can join us at TNCCcast on Twitter. Hit the Facebook page, Tuesday Night Cigar Club. Subscribe to us on YouTube. And hey, you know what? Father's Day is coming up. Juneteenth Day is coming up. Or heck, if you just want to buy some grilling stuff for the summer, go to the Tuesday Night Cigar Club page, find the Amazon link, click on that, and then do your shopping from there. Help us pay a little bit of the bills.
Or go to the Famous Smoke Shop link and buy your dad some cigars from Famous and help us out a little bit. Well, there, I think we paid our bills.
Your father doesn't smoke cigars? Well, happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day to your father. Speaking of cigars and all their awesome glory, how are you guys enjoying the Daniel Marshall?
I like it. I didn't mean to be silent there. I'm trying to get the music back.
Yak boy?
I like it.
I figured you would. This is
creamy, smooth, just as Mr. Marshall himself said, smooth.
It is very smooth and very creamy. I'll give it that. Are you guys getting chocolate yet?
I'm getting
a little bit.
A little bit of a.
You get the
flavor.
chocolate milk, or like chocolate milk powder, like you would put in,
kind
like Nestle Quick powder. You would put into milk. I'm not getting into leather. You guys got.
It's just a little bit of a hint.
For me, this thing is pure, nice woodsy cedar, mild woodsy cedar on the draw, cream on the nose, with a little bit of that milk chocolate on the palate as well. Goes great with the cedar. Perfect airflow.
I don't think that you can call Nestle Quick milk chocolate. I think it's more like a chemical chocolate substance.
Well, it tastes like when I put it in milk and stir it.
The powder? No, you said the powder form.
I was trying to help Yak Boy get to where he was going. That's what I do.
But you're spot on with the cedar, the woodsiness. I'm still liking that. It is an easy smoking cigar.
It really is. It goes good with the beer. I think we're all enjoying the beer.
It's pretty dang good.
Pretty much drank a case of it at this point.
I had my marching orders tonight. I'm going to have 2 and 2 alone. Yeah.
How's that working out for you?
It's 2.
I've exceeded expectations.
Boy, I'm glad we went with a very easygoing beer.
Yes.
I actually would like to try this cigar with some red wine.
I think it would work fine. I
I think this cigar would go really well with red wine.
It would have to be. Well, I don't know.
I think a Pinot Noir. Nothing. No, not a. I wouldn't go Cabernet or a
You think Cab's too dry?
Montepulciano. Man, I think a Pinot or maybe even a Merlot would be nice.
Something a little fruity.
Yeah. I need to do more research. I need to smoke more of these with different types of alcohol. But
Yeah,
the beer's great. The beer's great.
Because usually, like if I drink wine, I'm going to the driest wine ever. If it tastes like sand in my mouth, that's the wine I love. And I was trying to think of that, your Cabs, your Monts, and I was like,
and I also
I don't think that would work that with this.
I normally pair my red wines with a broadleaf, a darker, stronger cigar. But something about this, I think, would go really well with a sweeter red.
The beer itself that we've got has that little bit of citrus.
Yeah.
So it has that little sweetness. So I think that, like you just said, a wine that's not overly dry.
Yeah.
And for Mincy, I would think a nice English black tea would do well.
God, thank God he's not here. Yeah, I'm really enjoying them both. Good pairing. And the beer, you know what? I can't honestly say too much. It does have that little bit of orange to it on the very front end and on the aroma. But
I'll tell you this: when
it's just going down like water.
When it comes to easy, crisp drinking beers for the hot Texas summer that is coming upon us, that's here.
It's here.
Man, they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. That's an easy beer to drink.
Amen. I agree. Well, we then travel to some jungle, God knows where Dr. Pamela Isley, Uma Thurman, for you at home, who's acting like she's in a high school production of Anything Goes, is trying through her crazy experiments to crossbreed venomous snakes with plants.
That's why I would have said Little Shop of Horrors.
To give her beloved flora a fighting chance against the ravages of man. Tut, you live in Austin. I'm sure you've heard crazy nut jobs like this plenty before.
That tracks. Yeah.
Well, despite her insane but somewhat good intentions, it turns out the doctor she's working with, the even crazier Dr. Woodrue, played by the always entertaining John Glover of In the Mouth of Madness fame, and a lot of other stuff. He's devised a diabolical plan to turn their research into a super soldier program. Another one of those. Where he can create monstrous muscle men out of puny weaklings with a combination of steroids and toxins. And he's invited a party of world military leaders present in the lab to bid on his discovery.
You could tell they were worldly because of the sheik with the...
Oh, they had the sheik there. They had the Russian guy in his Russian thing with a crew cut. Yes. He does a live demonstration for them where he turns a skin and bones fugitive, a very unwilling test subject. He got out of some poor South American prison. And he hooks him up to these tubes, pours in a giant tub that says toxin on it. And he instantly transforms into the massive Bane. The Bane of humanity. And when Pamela Isley objects to what her boss is doing, he throws her ass into a table full of venom and chemicals and kills her ass. She sinks down in the swamp.
I actually do kind of like it's one of those things that kind of got a chuckle out of me. It was I'm sorry, I don't handle rejection well. Now you have to die. And just there's a scream he lets out. It's like,
dude. I love John Glover. He always does something crazy.
I wonder when I was like, in terms of like, when they were shooting scenes, like when did this appear? Because like he probably had like a chance to view other people as they're doing stuff, and he's like, you know what? I'm only on screen for a couple of minutes, but I've got to beat those guys. Totally going to do that.
Well, back at the Bat Cave, they're learning a little backstory on Mr. Freeze. Turns out he was an award-winning decathlete and world-renowned microbiologist. It's a hell of a combination. Who, in an effort to preserve his dying wife in a cryogenic chamber, accidentally fell into it, Arnold style. And now he has to use diamond-fueled lasers to keep his mutated body at a constant 0 degrees. Seems legit.
It all makes sense.
But Bruce Wayne isn't going to rush into battle again until his ward, Dick Grayson, spends some time in the training simulator. He almost got killed tonight and with Mr. Freeze because he wasn't listening, and Bruce is concerned, but Dick isn't having any of it. How can we work together if you can't trust me?
Because you almost killed yourself?
Man, I'm sorry. Both George Clooney and Chris O'Donnell suck huge donkey dicks in this thing. Just terrible.
Yeah, I'm
So
totally
bad.
on board with that. And I actually like Clooney.
You know what? He was terrible in Dusk Till Dawn. As a young guy, I watched him like, oh, he's such a badass. But if you watch that movie now, like just for Clooney's performance, it is so bad. I will turn this place into the fucking Wild Bunch. Like it's just it's the worst Tarantino delivered lines ever. It's so terrible.
I like it.
And he's just as bad in this. He's really bad.
He's really, really bad.
He's quoted
not
as
my
saying in this
Batman.
movie, this was a really hard movie to be good in. But you could be better than that.
Yeah.
You really could. They're just so bad. Well, remember Dr. Pamela Isley, that her boss killed her when she wasn't on board with his diabolical plan? Well, suddenly she reemerges from the earth, and she looks way hotter. She was a little nerd before, and now she's got flowing long red hair and no glasses.
It's amazing what some toxins and some venoms can do with you.
Yeah. What's up, Tut?
I don't like that line. This is a hard movie to be good in. If you're a professional actor, you bring it no matter what. Don't just walk through the motions.
Why'd you take the job?
Really? Well, maybe he took the job thinking it was Batman, and then he got the script after he had already confirmed it and been like,
Well, that's your fault for taking a job before you read the script.
yeah. But I'm
Poor-
just kind of like, man, just
Poor musician blames his instrument.
do your thing, man. Just get on the stage and perform.
Yeah, well, hey, he said it, not me.
Well, I know. That's why I kind of feel bad now.
Well, Dr. Pamela Isley has reemerged, and she's looking far more attractive. Her blood has been replaced by aloe. Her skin is now chlorophyll, and her lips are filled with venom. She gives the nasty Dr. Woodrue a deadly last kiss on the lips, and then she gives us, the audience, a big dramatic over-the-top monologue about how she's Mother Nature and she's coming for Wayne Enterprises because she saw the name Wayne Enterprises on a beaker.
That's what I love. She's smashing everything, and
She's
it's just
saying,
like,
oh, Wayne Enterprises.
Wayne Enterprise. I should destroy them.
Then she calls out for Bane. Bane, we have a plane to catch. What airline's letting these two on board?
Well, my question
My
is
favorite thing
Orlando.
is that Orlando. My favorite thing is, and Cody pointed this out before the show, is that when the camera cuts to Bane, when she was like, "Bane, we have a plane to catch," it cuts to him, and he's like, arms up.
Well, my thing is when you saw him when like Glover's character injected him, he breaks free. He's standing like that for like 20 minutes at least.
And Cody was like, do you think he just stood
Well, he
there
was
like
hired.
that?
The guy, the muscle man who was hired to play Bane was hired. He had the world's biggest biceps. Was his claim to
Jeep
fame.
Swinson.
Jeep Swinson.
Okay. I was wondering who actually was.
Yeah, no, he died
Bane.
not too long after this.
Actually, he died the year this movie came out.
Yeah, he died.
So this movie was like shot in 95, 96. He passed away in 97.
yeah, 40 years
Yeah.
old. 40 years old.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
But somehow they're going to get on an airplane. The 300-pound muscle guy in a luchador mask.
Well, they do show this
And
later
Poison
on.
Ivy.
They do show this later on,
Later
like
on,
them
they-
like boarding.
they
this
charted a pirate.
DC-10
They
that
ch-
was.
They chartered a private jet from Indiana Jones pilot to get across the Atlantic. Well, back in his secret lair, Mr. Freeze, wearing an icy bathrobe and polar bear slippers, is watching children's Christmas cartoons while directing his henchmen in song and smoking an ice cigar, which I thought was a nice touch.
I don't know how that actually works.
Did you guys look to see if there was an icy Daniel Marshall humidor there?
Marshall Humidor in there?
I wouldn't know how that would actually work out, considering I was like, how is he smoking a cigar and everything's frozen?
I know, it's
Not to
weird, 'cause
mention, he
if you
has
look,
to
the first
stay-
third of it in his mouth was a regular cigar, and then it was just painted blue. That's as far as they thought of. You're thinking way more about it than the director did.
Well, I'm just like, you know, as funny as the scene is, as funny as the character is, and as, you know, as much as I love watching Arnold and anything that he does, just not Freeze, man. Freeze would not be directing his henchmen and singing Christmas carols. He just,
Yeah, but you're comparing him to a version of Freeze that came after this.
No, it came before this, actually. Animated series was what, 93, 94?
No, the actual animated series came out in 89.
Yeah.
Riding on the popularity of the first
Okay.
Keaton Batman.
Yeah.
Now, the actual Freeze character...
Make a note to edit that out when I called you out and I was wrong.
Freeze character has been around forever. He actually...
Well, he's in the Super Friends.
Well, yeah, but he did...
Oh, is that Captain Cold?
That was Captain Cold. Now, that was a...
Freeze's cousin.
No, he would have been like a lame cousin. Like, Freeze was like hardcore. Captain Cold was like just a guy with a parka on.
Yeah, he actually was. He was room temperature.
Captain Chili.
He just...
Yeah.
No, actual the actual character came out in 59.
That's true, because in the Flash show, Captain Cold,
Right.
Yeah.
he just wears a winter coat around.
Yeah.
He does have a cold gun,
Yeah.
but he has no powers or no
But yeah.
biological mutation. He just really likes wearing a parka year round.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't?
I mean, he is holding a cold gun. It must be cold.
Well, one of his Freeze's baddies, played by the sumptuous Vivica A. Fox, tries.
I thought I recognized
Yeah.
it, but that I couldn't really.
She
place
tries
it.
to come on to him in his throne there, but Freeze tell her, "My passion thaws for my wife alone." He didn't use his cold puns with the ladies.
Because all of his lines
Dude.
are puns.
This, I will say this. With my objection to Mr. Freeze being not the Mr. Freeze that I like, this Mr. Freeze is fun as all get out.
He really is.
And I guarantee, and it's like you said, they hired him to be the over-the-top personality. I wonder if he was like, hey, I've got this idea for a one-liner here. Why don't I just turn it around and say this? And then finally the director's like, you know what? Do your thing, man.
I
If
don't
you
know.
feel it,
I
go
don't see
for it.
Arnold. He's getting paid $25 million. I don't see him sitting at home writing cold puns.
I'm talking about in the spur of the moment. I think that the guy actually like brings it out. There's like, revenge is a dish best served cold.
Yeah, he's got an Oscar-winning screenwriter here, man. I think he's in good hands.
And I think he crumpled up that Oscar writing screen out. It's like, no, you know what? I'm going to say
it.
chill out.
Cool party. And speaking of his wife, though, we do see that he's keeping her in a suspended animation chamber. His hideout is an ice cream factory, and behind some ice cream things, he's got her stored back there in the hopes of his goal is to freeze Gotham solid for ransom so he can get billions of dollars he needs to complete his research and bring her back from McGregor's disease to the world of the living.
That's
Or
what
I couldn't figure out, considering all of the diamonds he's stolen at this point, has got to be worth $1 billion.
Yeah, but he needs those to keep living himself.
Well, he's building a giant cold gun out of giant diamonds. I mean, certainly people would pay for those, right?
Guys, we're all getting there on the cigar. Anything new?
No,
I actually got a little surprising.
pickle.
No. A little bit of spice there, probably at the beginning of the final third. Hung around for maybe 10 minutes. It was kind of it went really good with the cedar, and then it kind of just faded away, and now I'm back into Creamy Town. It's got a baseline flavor profile that's really nice.
Pretty much. There's not a lot of transition in terms of, just kind of throwing whatever
the red label isn't either.
No, it's not.
I think that's one of the main things we always comment on the red label. It's got that one kind of profile that it does so well.
Yeah, I'm not
going
going
to
to
sings to us.
Yeah, I'm not going down on a cigar for just delivering consistency, because that's what you want in a cigar. But yeah, it's that nice woodsiness, the little hint of leather I really liked. Yeah, I really enjoyed the cigar.
All right. Back at Wayne Manor, a smoking hot schoolgirl named Barbara Wilson shows up at their doorstep. She's the daughter of Alfred's sister Margaret, and she's come for a visit. Most of the movies I watch where a hot smoking schoolgirl shows up at the door, they're about 12-minute long scenes at the most, and they don't talk a lot about people named Alfred or Margaret.
No.
Considering Alfred is easily over 100 years old, how is she possibly his niece? His sister would have to be at least a bag of an old ass fossil like him.
Well, you don't know how far apart they were.
I think I read where they thought
correct.
she'd be unbelievable as Commissioner Gordon's daughter, because he's also in his 70s. So they're like, oh, we'll make it Alfred's niece. But that's even more unbelievable.
But why not just find somebody who's not in his 70s to play Commissioner Gordon?
Well, he's the same guy who's played him for... This is his fourth movie as Gordon.
He started the whole series.
Yeah.
They were trying to, like, I don't know, we'll call it continuity or something
Yeah.
at this point.
Who cares? I'm going to go doctor on this one. Who gives a shit? Anywho, she's played Barbara Wilson. Isn't her real name Barbara Gordon in the comics?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because she is Commissioner Gordon's daughter. Anywho, she's played by Alicia Silverstone, Shawing. This was 2 years after Clueless
Yes.
and 4 years after the far superior movie The Crush.
Ooh.
I like that one. Oh, he's with me on that. You didn't like The Crush?
It was a whole lot of...
Yes,
There was a couple of scenes in it where you're like,
Yeah,
yeah,
it
that's what I
was.
came to see. The rest of this crap, get rid of that.
Oh. Well, you'd like these little 12-minute movies I watched. I'll send you some links.
Did it have Alicia Silverstone in those 12-minute movies?
No, Alicia Silverbone.
That's the one I want to see.
Or was it Alicia Silverstones?
Wait, that's a really bad.
That was some other movies I heard about
I've seen that one.
on the dark web.
Wait.
We were going somewhere I don't want to go. Despite her getting a lot of shit about her weight gain during the filming of this movie, allegedly they even had to cut out scenes where she couldn't really fit into her Batgirl suit right. It makes sense though if you watch it because she disappears for a lot of periods of time in this movie. I thought she looks great. I thought she looked really good in this movie.
I did too.
But apparently back then that was a thing. Like she'd gained a little weight, and
Well, she did, and she got. I remember her getting a bunch of crap for her weight gain, and I'm like,
What weight gain?
I liked
it's
it.
like I'm on my couch eating my Domino. I was like, she's fine. Good for you, not fat shaming Alicia Silverstone.
Damn straight. I admit, I had a crush on Alicia Silverstone ever since the Aerosmith videos.
She had a very unique look and a very unique kind of voice. I always liked her. Later that night, after tucking Alfred into bed, not like they do in my movies, that would be weird. She ditches her schoolgirl outfit for a leather jacket. That's how you know she's trouble. And she slinks off into the night. We got ourselves a bad schoolgirl, boys. Shawing. You guys remember Schwing? It was like a Wayne's World thing.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure you guys didn't think I was like having a stroke or something. What's he doing? What is this Schwing
Thought
stuff?
it was something you picked up on one of those other movies.
No. The next day, Bruce Wayne donates a huge telescope to the Gotham Observatory. It can view clearly any point on Earth. Just don't point it in my bedroom, Clinty says. Everybody laughs. Even his girlfriend, Elle McPherson, double swing. She chuckles a little bit. Oh, man. Well, Poison Ivy shows up, dressed down in her nerd persona again. She presents Bruce with a proposal that will help Wayne Enterprises save the planet, despite it meaning the loss of food and heat to millions of people, which she doesn't give a shit about. Mammals. As she's laughed off the stage, and obviously Bruce Wayne explains he's not on board with this plan, she swears that the same plants and flowers that watched man crawl out of the primordial soup, they're going to have a day of reckoning soon. Didn't you have a jazz fusion band in college called Primordial Soup?
Yes.
Or did I imagine that? You did?
No.
No.
You imagine that. But it was a good...
It would be a good jazz fusion band.
I think it actually is a jazz fusion band.
Well, as she's going off and off about the Revenge of the Plants, she's not telling the crowd that. They've moved on to the gala. She's telling us that, the audience. She's speaking into the camera.
It's another monologue.
And it's really badly delivered. She was just in Pulp Fiction. She's a good actress. She's so terrible in this. It's seriously like the director hypnotized the entire cast and made them forget about how to act before the movie started.
Maybe I need to cut Clooney some slack. You know, if he's like, maybe that's the reason why he found it so hard to be good.
He was on ER at the time. This is one of his first big movies. If he's looking around at like Uma Thurman and this is what we do here. Oh, shit! All right, I was gonna put some effort into this, but
I've been working way too hard.
Just get the feeling like, you know, Schumacher's over there behind the camera. Yeah, y'all doing great.
just counting his money.
That's it. Yeah, action. Whatever.
Counting his KB Toys money. Did they sell little cod pieces for kids to wear after this? Did they license those little Batman cod pieces?
Didn't go over well with focus groups.
No, I certainly wouldn't focus on it.
Did we make that Hoist Gracie bat cod piece?
Well, that night at a big gala fundraiser, God, so many galas, so many fundraisers.
That's what Wayne does, baby.
Daniel Marshall, he's going to a fundraiser on Saturday with Arnold. How come we never get invited to fundraisers? Oh, because we don't have any money.
Yeah, that
or skills.
Or skills.
Or anything.
We're not craftsmen or artists or...
Well, Batman and Robin, they're there for whatever that's worth. And they have set a trap for Mr. Freeze by auctioning off the Wayne family diamonds for charity. They know he loves diamonds. And apparently they start auctioning off some scantily clad women, which I didn't quite understand. There's like this row of chicks up there dressed in like bikinis, and the old men, white guys in the audience are like, I bid $50,000 for a night with her. What is that about?
It's, yeah, I don't know.
Sex slaves? That's what I saw.
pretty much.
That was a dark turn for a kids movie.
And then they thought, this will be perfect when I make that movie Taken.
Did Schumacher do that? He did do 8mm, that Cage weirdo sex movie. Poison Ivy shows up in her full suit. This time she's not nerded out. She's wearing her super seductive green costume, which I really don't find all that sexy at all.
They've given her giant green eyebrows.
Yeah. It kind of negates whatever they're doing anywhere else. And through the help of her super seductive pheromones that she blows everywhere, everyone in the joint becomes entranced with her and really super horny. She tells Batman and Robin, who aren't immune to her chemical charms, that her garden needs tending. Means her coochie. And they get super alpha competitive all of a sudden. She starts the bidding for a night in her green panties. Somebody's going to get to see my honeypot, boys. Again, if this is made for kids to sell toys, there's a lot of sexual innuendos in this thing. Her honeypot also means her coochie. Just in case you guys were...
We figured it out. We completely figured it out.
I got that.
All right, I got you. I'm on top of shit. It's a weird balance. Well, Batman starts the bidding, and Robin start bidding against each other like crazy. 1 million, 2 million. You don't have that kind of money. Batman tells Robin, I'll borrow it from you, he tells him. 5 million, 6 million.
Well, I like how he has to get past like 2 million first. You don't have that kind of money. I got 2 million.
I'll borrow it from you. By the way, that's not a money belt you're wearing. It's a utility belt. Oh, what a horrible line. Well, it gets much horribler. Horribler?
Yeah, might as well.
Robin whines his little ass off until Batman pulls out the Bat credit card. Never leave the cave without it. No, he doesn't talk in the Christian Bale voice.
No.
So never leave the cave without it. And it makes the cash register noise when he pulls it out. Shing!
Oh, close up. Visa card.
Expires forever.
I actually think that they actually did come out with this card around this movie.
It's so good. Lord, it's cheesy. It's so cheesy.
Like I said, they weren't just selling kids' toys; they were selling everything.
Well, suddenly the party's broken up by Freeze and his ice goons. They all barge in. They immediately start turning the partygoers into ice. Batman had to, when he set this trap for Freeze, know that everyone there was going to be in danger of being frozen solid. He didn't give a shit. He didn't bring like a huge heat lamp.
He knew that he had 11
everybody.
minutes to save those bystanders.
Robin and I have those tiny little heat guns. What? Whatever. A big battle ensues, complete with Scooby-Doo sound effects whenever one of Freeze's goons gets knocked out. That's when they jump the shark. Whenever you put in Scooby-Doo sound effects, you're like,
Well, they had to. It was they're emulating the 1960s Batman. The only thing they didn't put up on the screen is when someone got punched.
I'm just saying that those homoerotic opening credits didn't throw it off the rails. Now we're totally in Looney Tunes. And during the chaos of this crazy fight, and the thing is, like, there's not even any logic to the physics of, like, Mr. Freeze will grab a vine because it's a jungle-themed party. He'll grab a vine, but rather than swing on it, for some reason he can grab it and just jump across the giant. None of it makes sense. It's so insane.
I need this vine. Now I'm on the ground, so I will swing up.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I want to bring that back up later on in the movie during the motorcycle chase. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, Freeze approaches Poison Ivy because she has the diamonds. Give me the diamonds, plant girl, or I'll turn you into mulch. It's a good one. Hey, at least it's not a cold pun. He's making plant puns now.
Plant puns.
He's making plant puns.
Got to move on.
No, I mean, he does try to figure out, who are you, plant girl?
Yeah, that's right. Weed woman. Actually, I don't think he said that. That's a good one. I should win an Oscar. She tries to seduce him with her pheromone dust, but it doesn't work on a man with a cold heart. His heart is literally frozen solid. Freeze grabs the diamond from her, and before he leaves, cool party. That's pretty good. He makes his exit with the diamonds. Well, a chase ensues through the crazy tall bridges of Gotham. So many overpasses, just insane overpasses. Like, can you imagine driving on these bridges like in a car, like your family? You're just like over like huge statues of dudes and like it's insane.
This is one of the things that I actually kind of like about this
the
movie.
Aesthetic. I really dug Gotham.
They kind of got Gotham, or at least what I would like Gotham to be.
It wasn't the dark like Burton's where it was so dark and gothic.
Yeah,
it was very well lit.
And I know you and I disagree on the Nolan Batmans, but the Nolan Batmans, they just kind of look like any city.
They look like New York or
New
Toronto.
York, yeah. But this, there's one scene I was telling Cody before the show. There's this one scene where Poison Ivy and Bane are driving through, and I guess it's like a library or something. But there's just like this statue of a guy holding two street lamps.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, that's Gotham.
Oh no, the
I
set
like
design is sometimes it's pretty cheap. Like you can see the Mr. Freeze ice is rubber icicles kind of playing there. But like the stuff outside Gotham, whether it's the motorcycle race or this chase, they just have these huge statues of public figures that are like hundreds of feet tall, which looks great. But I am picturing if you're just a dude living there, like driving to work, you're like going up, like it's crazy. You're up in the clouds.
Hate this rush hour traffic. I always get stuck at the statue.
Well, they chase him through this crazy tall bridges and roads until finally Batman captures Freeze without Robin's help. Robin was going to make this huge jump on was it the Redbird, his motorcycle?
Yes.
Or the Red Wing?
Red Wing.
And Batman's like, you can't make it, Dick. He's like, I can make it. And Batman has his computer shut down Robin's motorcycle, which almost kills him because then he loses power and he almost slides off one of these huge statues. But anyway, he captures him. Bane's a prisoner now. Back at the Batcave, Robin is pissed. Once again, Batman didn't trust his judgment. When he was a kid in the circus, the Flying Graysons were a team, goddammit, and they trusted each other. But here, it's Batman's way or the highway. Hey, Batman says it's my house, my rules that keep us alive.
Thanks, Dad.
But whiny little bitch Robin storms off. He goes off to the Toshi station to pick up some power converters while blasting Womp Rats with his T-16. Didn't he remind you of young Luke Skywalker in this? Always bitching about everything, thinking he can do everything.
But I wanted to go to Toshi Station.
As far as Hall of Fame whiny little bitches, Luke Skywalker, fucking Robin from Batman and Robin. Oh, God, he's annoying in this thing. Well, this leads us to Bruce having another cheeseball flashback to his youth. I haven't mentioned these. They show quite a bit of them. Basically, it's every time something happens, Bruce looks down the hallway, and all of a sudden, little Bruce shows up with young Alfred, which is like 40 years ago when he was 70. They're just so bad, I'm not going to mention them anymore. I shouldn't have mentioned it there. You're about to burn your face off at the nub of that cigar. You are easily coming to a close on that one. That's a sign of a good cigar. You just don't want to drop it in the stinky. Final thoughts?
I liked it.
It's definitely different from the red, and I did. I really liked it. Man, I'm tripping out at the whole Creole on the cold draw. That was pretty smooth.
You like that, man?
The cedar was nice all the way through. It's just a good, mild but flavorful smoke. You had nice cream to it. It was just good.
I agree. I actually did not do all my homework. I will get you an MSRP here shortly on what these suckers cost. I, for some reason, left that out of my notes. I apologize. But I agree. Straightforward cedar, cream. Cody and I got the milk chocolate.
Yep.
You both got a slight thing of leather. You both got Creole seasoning on the cold draw, which Skip's going to give a shit for that one.
It's a craft flavor. It's in there.
But we say it's not that complex of a cigar. It's pretty straightforward. But when we start breaking it down, Creole seasoning on the cold draw.
There was not a lot of just not a lot of transitions.
Cedar on the palate.
Yeah.
We both got milk chocolate. You guys got some leather. I think at the beginning of the last third got a nice 10 minutes of spice that came and went and really added a nice little unexpected twist there at the end. So, I mean, there is some complexity there. I give it a thumbs up.
Totally do.
We talk a lot about good summertime beers. It's kind of our running joke whenever it's so hot. This is a really good summertime beer. It's a good summertime cigar.
It actually is, yeah.
I mean, you don't want a broadleaf, ballsy, just earthy monster when it's 103 degrees outside.
I kind of do every time. But for a mild cigar, this has kept my interest. Normally, I don't respect a lot of mild cigars, and this one has definitely kept a nice flavor profile all the way through.
Agreed. I'm a fan. And construction-wise, I wouldn't change a thing. And I will say it's consistent. This is my second one, and it's playing exactly like the first one did. So that's always a good thing, too. All right. Beer great. Cigar great. You ready to get back to this great movie?
Absolutely.
Remember Alicia Silverstone?
Yeah.
Kind of.
She's in this movie. She's still in this thing. And Dick discovers her taking a motorcycle out for a spin after hours. This is where I thought, her scenes were cut, because we hadn't seen her in a long time.
Right.
She showed up, was like, oh, this is... And then she just... Nothing. Meanwhile, at Arkham Asylum, prison guard Jesse Ventura is welcoming Mr. Freeze to his cell. Welcome, Frostface. He's getting in on the puns. Oh, man, I was so glad to see Jesse pop
It was
up.
so funny because I was actually looking away from the screen, and all I heard was the voice, and I was just like, welcome. And I was like, was that? I think that, yeah, it is.
And the other guy with the eye patch is Rolf Mueller.
Yes.
A friend of Daniels and Arnold's. He was Conan in Conan the TV series.
Okay.
Yes.
So those three kind of do a lot of events together and hang out together. Did you get the sense, talking to Daniel, maybe we'll get to hang out with those guys?
Possibly.
We're kind of part of the crew now?
Yes, absolutely.
You're lying, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Governor to governor.
Well, I just love that Arnold got his buddy Jesse and Rolf and got him these little cameos. It's a small role, but hey, man, the guy's loyal. I mean, can you name a movie with Jesse Ventura that Arnold wasn't involved in? He was in that Alien one.
Oh, Abraxas.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
All those good ones are Arnold movies, though.
Except for the pilot with Piper.
Well, that was a TV show.
They should have made that.
It should have. Tag team?
Tag team.
When they take Freeze out of his transportation chamber and put him into his cell, he delivers his greatest line in the movie, his most memorable line. Allow me to break the ice. My name is Freeze. Learn it well, for it's the chilling sound of your doom. Ah. Great stuff. No wonder this guy went on to win an Oscar. That's good stuff. That's
Wait, what?
the screenwriter.
Oh.
Across town, Poison Ivy and Bane overtake a Turkish bathhouse. Tut, did this place look familiar?
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
Well, a short battle with Bane and these guys that are hanging out at this Turkish bathhouse they're basically just a bunch of skateboarders wearing neon makeup.
Pretty much.
But I love the whole point is like, you know, she sends Bane in there, I kick their butts, and here comes in he like steps on the floorboards and they go like flying because it like seesaws up underneath them.
More Scooby-Doo effects. Pew!
And yes, literally, boing,
And that's it.
you're like, wow, that was awesome. But I mean,
And they looked like they were going to be menacing, like, hello, pretty. And then they just,
I thought that
Bane
I thought she was gonna like have some henchmen besides Bane.
No, she doesn't need anybody else. A few short Scooby-Doo sound effects later, the place is now a perfect secret lair for Poison Ivy. She plants some of her magical beans, and the place is suddenly green and very eco-friendly. Austin bullshit.
We need to fix this place up. He tears a water pipe off the wall. It's just spilling out. What is Gotham? The city's never going to come find out where this water leak is.
Well, I don't think they plan on being there that long.
Let me plant some seeds, and they'll rapidly grow into a forest in no time at all.
Well, that night at a romantic dinner with Elle Macpherson. Ugh. My favorite all-time supermodel.
She's up there.
She's right up there with Claudia Schiffer.
Yeah, she's
I love
up there.
cold European robots. Emotionless automatons. Yeah, they're... Boy. And Elle Macpherson still looks fantastic.
Oh,
Do you think we get to hang out with her anytime soon?
sure, absolutely.
You're lying?
Yes.
Well, Elle Macpherson pressures Bruce into marriage. Been there. But he fucks up, and as he starts making out, he's like, I'll shut you up, and he starts making out with her. He calls her Ivy. He's still under the effect of the pheromones. Meanwhile, down in the Batcave, Dick is looking up footage of Poison Ivy on the Bat computer and whacking off. She's really got a hold on these boys. But suddenly, Dick is alerted to motion in the garage, and he sees Alicia Silverstone is stealing a motorcycle on the Bat monitors, so he tucks the Bat Dick in his pants and heads out to see what she's up to. Turns out she's up to illegal motorcycle racing. After forking over her entry fee to rapper Coolio, who was in every movie in 1997 for some reason, a guy named Spike challenges her to a race. Do you recognize Spike? Did you?
Kind of, but...
Austin's own Nicky Cat, Dazed and Confused, Clint.
Oh, yeah? Yeah.
Gonna drink beer and... Yeah, that guy. I'm all out of beer. After a lengthy motorcycle race through Gotham, Spike has
Dominant
his
male
gang...
monkey motherfucker.
That guy. Well, no, the guy he's talking about.
Yeah.
Spike, towards the end of the race, has his gang firebomb Barbara Wilson with Molotov cocktails to where she spills on her bike.
That's the one
Tut,
thing...
is that a motor... you spill?
Well...
You laid it down.
Laid it down. That's one of the scenes that I wanted to set.
Well, hold on, she's about to go off the end of a bridge. She's sliding, and Dick followed her. He goes over there and he grabs her hand. He saves her life.
The guys who threw the cocktails, they could have simply just tossed them from their side of the bridge, but no, they had to clink into these like chain things, swing across the bridge, and then drop it, and then it made no sense. The street was literally like 20 feet. You could have easily tossed that bottle.
Something in Batman Robin made no sense, did it?
Huh. Good figure.
Get on the phone with the Academy of Motion Pictures and Arts. Back at Wayne Manor, Barbara explains that she's been racing ever since both parents died 5 years ago. The speed and the danger take me out of being myself. But her racing days are over. She's earned enough cash now from this race to repay Alfred for taking care of her all these years and sending her to private schools. She's going to take him away from his lifelong dismal life of servitude to the Waynes. This master-servant thing is ridiculous, she says, and she's getting him the fuck out of here. Kind of makes sense, right? She's not.
I'm not good on her.
It kind of was the same thing. Like, dude's 114 years old, and every day he's wiping this guy's ass. Yeah, maybe take him on a vacation. Like, let him live out his second century in luxury, which I guess you can do off underground motorcycle race earnings.
Apparently so.
Well, she tells Dick Alfred is sick. But when she walks away, Bruce, who's been lurking in the shadows like a parent waiting for his kids to get home, he emerges in his bathrobe and tells Dick that Alfred is actually dying. Alfred would never tell them this, but Bruce, being the Dark Knight detective that he is, can tell. Probably due to Alfred hunched over and vomiting all the time. I have a
Also, the fact that I have cameras everywhere in my house, so I see it constantly.
I have a suspicion that something's wrong with Alfred. God, he is a super sleuth.
How does he do it?
How's he do it? Well, across town at the medieval castle known as Arkham Asylum, Poison Ivy has seduced the guards, then quickly kills them, as she and Bane are helping Mr. Freeze escape. When Bane bursts into Freeze's cell, because, Mr. Freeze's suit it's a load. He rolls it in this grocery cart that says Arkham Asylum on it. But I love Arnold's line here. Finally, a laundry service that delivers. To which Poison Ivy says, so, what are you, 50 big and tall? No, I always go a size smaller. It makes me look slimmer. Come on, that's funny. He might have maybe ad-libbed that one. Well, even Bane can't break through the reinforced steel walls, so Freeze turns on the bathroom's faucet in his cell. Freezes the water in the pipes.
And the wall disintegrates.
And the wall crumbles instantly to the ground. Always winterize your pipes.
How many?
All right, it's like his 50th cold pun. Give him a break. He's doing the best he can. Just as Bruce and Alfred are finally having a heart-to-heart discussion about Alfred's health, do you ever regret your life here? He asked the old man. Serving heroes, sir? My only regret is that I wasn't out there with you, sir. I knew something was wrong with you. Well, Alfred, some heroes don't wear masks. Bert runs downstairs in his sweet choker necklace at that moment. The 90s, when you could wear a tut, looks like he had a choker necklace.
I did not have a choker necklace.
You sure?
No. But I do. Wait. Yeah, I did.
I knew it.
Oh, I was about to say, actually, I still got that shell, motherfucker.
Yeah, but the choker was just no shells.
Oh, no. This is shell. Yeah, I have all shells.
Okay, but you also had a choker necklace.
No.
Oh, okay. He totally had a choker necklace. He tells Alfred and Batman that Freeze has escaped Arkham Asylum. You know what else is sweet besides choker necklaces, boys? Underground cigars from our friends at Drew Estate. For those who work hard and play hard, the new Undercrown Sun-Grown features an Ecuadorian Sumatra seed sun-grown wrapper. The binder is a Connecticut River Valley stock-cut, cured, sun-grown Habano, complementing a powerhouse blend of Nicaraguan premium fillers. One leaf of extensively aged Lajero from the Nueva Segovia region along the border of Honduras has been selected to enhance the strength of the blend. As I said earlier, the TNCC really dug this cigar with its notes of graham cracker, subdued cedar, and milk chocolate. So head to your local cigar shop or hit up your favorite online retailer and try an Underground Sun-Grown today. Batman and Robin rush to Freeze's hideout after the escape, where as soon as they discover the floating body of Mrs. Freeze behind the ice cream, Mr. Freeze and Ivy show up to wreak havoc. Batface and Birdbrain get into a big brawl with Bane as Freeze takes out all the Gotham City coppers with his cold gun. My lungs! They all cry as he freezes. I guess he goes in their mouths and freezes their lungs. But I love the cops. My lungs! It reminded me when we used to be allowed to smoke inside at the pub. all the other patrons. Just, oh, God.
I couldn't see them from the thick
yeah,
haze
they
of
were there.
smoke.
I could just hear their cries. My lungs! Poison Ivy has a line here She points to Bane. Every Poison Ivy action figure comes with one of these. And that's where it's kind of like Chris O'Donnell, of all people, Boy Wonder, said, making Batman Forever felt like I was making a movie. This felt like I was making a kid's toy commercial.
Yeah.
And it really feels like a kid's toy commercial.
Totally does.
And that line of hers is really on the nose. Like,
did you have to
did
go
you have
there?
to say it? Like, couldn't we just assume it?
Well, at least, they didn't just like show them like driving down Gotham streets and everything, but like the names of toy stores. That you could...
Yes. Well, Batman stops Robin from kissing Ivy, despite Robin's whiny ass little objections. You just can't handle it that she wants to smooch me and not you. Ugh. You got major issues with women, man. So Batman pushes him into a big vat of ice cream to shut his ass up. I love that. When he's trying to get out, like it's chocolate mint, and he's like trying to get over to the side, and he's... Oh, you guys didn't laugh at that?
I did.
It was just funny seeing, like, he can surf down a rocket door from space. He can ride a motorcycle over a skyscraper, but he can't get out of this tub of ice cream.
Oh, God, my weakness, dairy products.
Before Ivy escapes, she shuts down the computer, keeping Freeze's wife alive. She doesn't want any competition for his cold, icy heart. Been there, man. Bitches be crazy. Crazy. When she tells later on a distraught Freeze that Batman killed Mrs. Freeze, he goes nuts. Their bones will turn to ice. Their blood will freeze in my hands. And like any ruthless psycho, she talks Freeze into taking his wrath out on the entire city of Gotham for enabling the dynamic duo all these years. He agrees, and he proclaims that he will sentence Gotham to an endless winter. And that's just what Ivy wants. A chance for Mother Nature to start all over again. Fucking Austin hippies. So he's off to freeze the world, and then Adam and Evil can start from scratch. Yeah. I know what they're doing. Well, it turns out that Alfred...
Like Alfred now.
Turns out, speaking of Alfred, he's now in bed dying from McGregor syndrome, which is exactly what Mrs. Freeze is suffering from. What a coincidence. While Bruce is dead set on taking on Freeze and Ivy alone, Dick has other ideas. Big surprise. He knows Ivy loves him, and he wants a Robin symbol in the sky like Batman, as he's tired of living in Bruce's shadow. What a little bitch. Not...
Oh, really? Let's follow this all the way through, Dick. So you've got the Bat signal, and then you've got the Robin signal. When do you think they're going to pull that signal? I mean, like when someone
kids are shoplifting from 7-Eleven.
Someone's sticking up the Tasty Freeze. They're going.
Well, he couldn't go to that. He can't if there's ice cream around. It's his kryptonite. Oh wait, throw your ice cream cone on the ground. Robin's all. Oh Jesus.
I mean, just gotta let that play out.
If you have an option of hitting the Batman symbol or the Robin, I think it's pretty.
I could go Batman, but I don't want to waste his time.
Robin's like the Thursday night NFL game. Batman's on Mondays. Well, yeah, he wants his own symbol. Bruce tells Alfred, "I can't save your life, old man." To which Alfred responds, "There's no defeat. There's no defeat in death, Master Bruce. Victory comes in defending what we know is right while we still live."
That sounds horrible.
What a quote. Again, it's no wonder Akiva Goldsman went on to win an Oscar. There's some good nuggets in here.
There are.
I think he kind of came up with the all heroes don't wear capes line.
Maybe.
I mean, Batman said all heroes don't wear masks.
Yeah, I'll give it to him.
I kind of wish Alfred wore a mask. Think of the germs he's spreading around this place. I hope McGregor's syndrome isn't contagious.
No, I don't think it is. We don't know that for certain.
It's sexually transmitted. Alfred was banging Mrs. Freeze. Oh. Way to go, Alfie. But Akiva Goldsman also went on to write a Transformers movie, so let's not give him too much credit here. Well, Bruce says, "I love you, old man," and Alfred says he loves him too. Well, they're having that tender moment. Alfred's niece, Barbara. Remember Alicia Silverstone? She's in this thing.
Still there.
Still there.
Hanging on.
Still there.
She manages to unlock the old Bag of Bones computer files, and it tells her everything about Bruce's Batman, the Bat Cave, all the passwords.
Is that really something you just... Here's a disc of the most secret of secrets. Go give that to my brother. He's out somewhere in the world. Find him. But are you certain you should send that disc out?
Well, she's staring at the computers. She knows everything now.
I mean, it could have been... He could have just put the password on the disc, come to Wayne Manor, input the password.
Or he could have made the password not his sister's name, who talks about all the time. Anyway, let's...
My beloved Peg.
It's
One,
it's 1997.
2,
I'll need you to take notice of
3,
the word I just used. Peg.
4, 5.
What kind of person puts that on their... What idiot puts on their luggage?
Listen, it was 1997. Cybersecurity wasn't,
Let me guess. The password is password.
Batman 69. That's what I would have made it.
You totally would.
I totally would have. Well, Robin gets his whiny little wish granted, and that Ivy flashes a Robin signal. How'd she make that thing so fast?
Don't know.
That seems like something you would have to
That's
have
what-
special ordered.
That's what villains
A lot of
do.
neon and like, how's she making that thing?
Well, she probably went over to the giant sign maker and blew some of her pixie dust in his
he
face.
worked overtime on it. All right. Well, over Gotham Police Headquarters, he gets the Robin symbol, and he sees it from Wayne Manor. He's about to race off to meet the love of his life.
But how is it he never questioned the fact that I wish they had a sign for me? Hey, look, there's a sign for me.
Well, Bruce tries to talk some sense into him one last time. She's using, and this is where he really emphasizes Dick's name. She's using you, Dick. She has pheromones that are controlling us. There's simply no way she'd actually love your annoying little bitch ass, Dick. You want to talk about trusting your family, Dick? How about you start now, dickhead?
Listen to what I'm saying, penis.
Listen, dick face. But will Boy Wonder listen? I guess we'll find out.
No, Richard does not.
Richard Grayson does not. That's a pretty cool name, actually. Richard Grayson.
Is that his actual name?
Yes.
Oh, I just thought it was Dick.
Well, that's the
Well,
joke.
I know that.
Yeah. So Mr. Freeze and Bane show up at the observatory to commandeer the super telescope. Remember that thing from an hour and a half ago?
No, yeah.
To help freeze the world. If revenge is a dish best served cold, then put on your Sunday's finest. We're going to feast tonight.
I don't know what that means.
It was just one last pun. Tonight hell freezes over. The combination of the crystals in the telescope sea and the diamonds from Freeze, they're going to combine to ruin everybody's weekend. Am I right, Yanks?
Yes. And then some.
So now that Barbara has discovered all the bat secrets, she makes her way down to the Bat Cave, where Alfred pops up on the monitor screen. He somehow programmed his brain algorithms to tie into the Bat computer, which means every time you click the mouse, you hear that. Let me scan over.
I would totally get this fixed, but Alfred was the one that always worked on the computers. Damn it, I've screwed myself.
What's it sound like when we eject the disk drive?
Slowly sliding 19.
Tut, can you patch my brain algorithms into our computer system?
Do I want to?
Well, Computer Alfred pops up on the screen and tells her, I knew you were going to find out about all this. I knew you were going to hack my stupid password. And guess what? I was so sure you would do it, I fashioned you a superhero costume to match your very curvy measurements.
How did you get my measurement? This is like a custom fitting suit over here.
There's not a centimeter that you can go off on this rubber suit. He really had to put a lot of thought into his niece's voluptuous measurements. Again, if I got some movies on. We'll talk about it later. So we see a quick montage of her plump, juicy ass squeezing into this rubber suit. At least they gave her equal time. We saw Clooney's ass. We saw O'Donnell's ass. Now we see her ass shimmying into that suit. We're in business. Batgirl is
Why didn't we
born.
see any of the villains' asses?
Yeah, I don't think we ever see Poison Ivy's ass. There was
I'm
a
good-
scene
I'm
where
good
Bane,
with-
there
I'm
was a
good
scene
with
where
Alicia
Bane,
still,
Bane
so.
picked up something. He dropped something. He picked it up, and they showed a little bit. Batgirl's born.
Yes.
Were you a fan of Batgirl in the comics?
Not really.
Yeah.
Yeah, me neither.
She's become popular, blah blah blah. But no, not a fan.
Okay. Well, she really didn't give us much here to get behind.
Well, yes, you do.
Well, her behind. I'm all for getting behind her behind. Yeah, you started it.
Sorry.
Alfred's rolling over in his grave right now.
Sorry. It's Alicia Silverstone. Come on.
Well, Boy Wonder shows up at the Robin Signal's origin on top of police headquarters. And good old Poison Ivy's waiting for him. He says he wants to kiss her, but he needs to be sure she's ready to turn over a new leaf. He's getting in on the pun game. No, he's using garden puns. So
Oh, no, you didn't.
This movie had to set a record for puns. Right?
I think it was more of a dare, really. How can I make every line of dialogue a one-liner?
I can't remember a time I've ever heard so many puns in a movie. She tells him that Freeze has turned the telescope into a giant freeze gun. She's telling him everything because she knows she's about to kill him, so what's the matter? And he's going to turn the city into a giant block of ice. She kisses Bird Boy and says goodbye to him, but he's wearing rubber lips. And those boys are immune to her lethal, venomous charms.
Why
But it
not?
ain't that
Everything
easy.
else he's wearing
It
is
ain't that
rubber.
easy. All of a sudden, she throws Robin into a big pool of crap. There's just like this big tub of brown stuff.
Dairy crap, chocolate
Oh,
milk.
chocolate ice cream. How do I capture the elusive Bird Boy?
It's going to be a rocky road.
Oh man, look at you, fun. Get in on it.
Oscar.
You're gonna write a Transformers movie one of these days. All right, so she throws him into a big tub of chocolate ice cream, and of course he can't get out. When Batman shows up, her submissive vines come up out of the ground and tangle him up. He's trapped pretty good. But luckily, Batgirl drops through the ceiling. You're about to be compost. Another pun. She says, as she then proceeds to kick Poison Ivy's ass, eventually roundhouse kicking her into a giant Venus flytrap, which sucks her in for some reason and traps her in there. Batman and Robin take a moment to contemplate their new team member. Batman says, Batgirl isn't very PC. What about Batwoman or Batperson? But she tells him, Bruce, it's me, Barbara, Alfred's niece. I found the Batcave. It's me.
No shit.
Super detective. She looks identical to the... She didn't have... Did she have a mask on?
She did.
Yeah, she had that like little.
A tiny little
Yeah.
thing? Oh, God. Barbara.
It's like the Superman glasses.
Super detective.
Wow, I am at a loss here. Who could this be? Who is this strange mask?
The Dark Knight detective lives. Actually, it's just a really weird scene because it's like I kind of thought he knew it was her, but when she says that, like with that much gusto, I was like, oh, I think they're playing it like they didn't know it was her. But at least Robin should have known it was her. No.
I'm checked out. Yeah.
Well, we're all about to be checked out. Let's finish this up. Up in the. Did you finish your cigar? Did you like it?
I did.
Yeah.
It's really good.
I thought you would. All right. So thumbs up. I got nothing else. I poured. Anyone care for an ice house?
Here in a minute, yes.
Could you tell? I have changed to the Ice House beer.
Ice House.
Mr. Freeze. Hey, it's kind of a pun in a glass.
Oh. Let's go back to the ice cream.
Another round of ice houses for me and my friends.
Oh.
I like my beer ice brewed.
Basically,
Cold-filtered.
It's a light-bodied pale lager. Unfortunately, this is one of those beers that the macro breweries threw out way back. This debuted out.
I remember this from college, late 90s.
This actually started being produced in 93
Okay.
and gained wider distribution. It's produced by Miller Brewing. They sent it out there to basically, at the time, obviously, right there, early 90s, mid 90s, craft beers started to take off. They were, started their slow ascent, so to speak, to get gathering up market share. Not that it really affected them, considering the top three macro brewers are pretty much like we're at the time like 90% of the beer market.
Right.
So, but this was the America's first ice beer, which basically all they really were doing with that was after they finished brewing, they lowered the temperature down to freezing to remove some of the water, which taking out the water increased the alcohol content. But it's not like they were making it like, this is 13% beer. No, 5.5%. So basically the beer was like 3%, suck out some water, now it's 5.5%.
All right. Ice to meet you.
Now I'm done.
I honestly haven't had one of these since probably 1999.
That beer is from 99.
It tastes like it. It's not very good.
One of the funny things...
It's not as bad, because I was never a fan of this back in the day.
Well,
it's not as bad as I remember it.
They were trying to emulate the craft brewing, so they said it was from the Plank Road Brewery.
Oh, I do remember that.
Which, Plank Road Brewery, all that was the name of the original Miller...
Oh, so it's just a giant corporate factory?
Well, yeah, that was the name of the original brewery that Miller started at.
But if you were a beer snob in 1999, you're like, ooh.
Plank Road Brewery. No, so it has no meaning behind it whatsoever. They simply used the name as the new name for the division that was in charge of producing, quote unquote, the craft beers from Miller.
Yeah.
Which
okay.
This was pretty much.
Is this back when like Bud Ice and all those were coming out?
Correct.
But it was a dark time in beer.
It pretty much was, yes.
That was the time period where the Red Dog lived.
The Red Dog lived. That is correct.
Oh, Red Dog.
Unlike Ice House, I drank a lot of Red Dogs.
Ton of Red Dog.
Okay. Well, you know what? I'll be curious to see what you think. You haven't had one. I imagine you've not had one in a couple decades.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it is tastes a little bit better than I remember. Up in the observatory, Mr. Freeze is kicking some ice.
Oh.
It's not even funny anymore. It's painful. I'm sure it's more painful for him. Every morning, Maria's like, "How many puns today, Arnold?" 16.
I was about to say, I don't think it's painful for him at all. I think he's enjoying the ever living crap out
If you
of
had
it.
to say that many puns a day,
I think he wakes up and is like he just walks puns. He walks and spits puns.
he leaves the house. Have a nice day. It's like, all right, God,
Nice to meet you.
God, when are we? How much longer you got in this movie?
Why are you so frigid? Wait. Is that too close to home?
Maybe it was during this movie that some things happened.
Oh no! Sorry.
Well, he's shooting his
Sorry.
giant cold gun / telescope at everything out the window. He's turning the library, all the office. He's turning everything, the whole city into ice. Luckily, Batman...
Because even though the globe is like a giant sphere, you can literally see every part of the Earth through that telescope.
Yeah, well, it's a Bruce Wayne telescope.
But yet he only decides to shoot it at Gotham.
Correct. At this point, he's just freezing Gotham. Well, luckily, Batman and the gang all have vehicles suddenly that can skate over large sheets of ice, kind of like their boots. But this time, at least you're like, all right, they know who they're dealing with. But their vehicles all have ice skates. All of a sudden, they glide over them. And they race over to stop Mr. Freeze. Again, though, you're thinking Batman toys. Like we can sell a Batmobile and a Batmobile with the ice skates. Once they're up in the observatory, the gang realizes that they can unthaw the deadly telescope, because once he was done with it, Freeze froze the freeze gun. He's freezing everything. With their handheld bat defrosters, those tiny little ray guns, and they can also channel the orbiting satellites to re-aim the sunrise that's happening in the Congo 5 hours away to shine down on Gotham and unfreeze the millions of frozen Gothamites who only have 11 minutes to live. Seems legit.
I can't figure out that you're Barbara Gordon, but I can figure out satellites.
I can redirect the fucking sun from hitting the Congo
Well,
to
it would
here.
have been different if it said,
Who are you again? Oh, wait, and I also learned something. Alfred's sick. I'm completely oblivious to everything in my life, but I can do this. That plan backfires as Freeze blows a shit ton of ice bombs off, destroying the telescope. Freeze in hell, Batman. Remember, though, he still thinks Batman killed his wife.
Yes.
true.
Poison Ivy's wicked tongue set that trap. But somehow Robin and Batgirl kill Bane. They detach. Someone finally gets the idea to just pull those cables out of the back of his luchador mask. And he turns back into Mr. Puniverse.
How is he so powerful?
Beauty.
Maybe it has something to do with that liquid that's literally just being pumped into his head.
What if that one pipe that says steroids? What if we just unplug that? Well, that's what does it. And
I
they
still like Puniverse.
was Mr. Puniverse. Was Bane in the comics more like this Bane or the Bane from the Nolan film?
Well,
He looked like this guy.
Bane in the Nolan films was early Bane, and the Bane in this one is later. Bane actually debuted in '93 in the Nightfall series.
Though Robin died.
Right. Well, this all coincided with the change up where they introduced new Batmans and stuff like that, because Bane actually breaks Batman's back,
Right.
which confines him to a wheelchair.
Put some ice on it. He shows up. Get out of here, Freeze.
But yeah, no. So the Bane in this one is actually later Bane, where in the comic books, the venom that Bane uses to enhance his strength actually degrades his intelligence.
So when he smarty pants,
when he starts to overdose on it to like pump himself
he turns
up,
into a monster.
He basically starts just turning into a idiot.
Well, I guess they captured that pretty good, then.
Which is funny because in the video games, he's actually quite intelligent.
He is to a point, yes.
But he looks like the one in this movie.
But he looks like with the things coming out of the head, the luchador mask. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know that the Nolan Bane was like an early version of Bane.
He's more accurate to like when he was when he first debuted. Crime boss, intelligent, strategist, not just relying on strength.
Yeah.
So
I like that Bane.
but it's when it's when he's not
I
using
like that Bane, Cody.
the venom is
He's
actually
cool as ice.
Bane doesn't rely on puns like that.
Oh, I remember everything now. I'm so sick. Oh.
I've got a hunch Cody might be sick. He just puked all over the table. He would never tell us. Literally, it's on your lap.
He's basically grabbing your ankle. Take me to a hospital.
There's even a line in there when it's like, "You're sick, Alfred. Why wouldn't you tell me? A gentleman doesn't discuss his illness."
Yeah. Mr. Puniverse.
Projectile vomiting right in his face. Just
Well, look. despite how they were in the comics or cartoons or whatever, they all in this movie worked together to rearrange the damaged cosmic satellites to thaw out Gotham City.
I like how they all of a sudden figure out we can, from this one monitor, reroute everything. Problem solved.
She knows basic. You see, boys,
I'm going to go through all 4 million lines of basic.
working as a team, they save the fucking day. Y'all could learn something from that.
Yes. Don't get sick like Alfred.
Yeah, well, we're not doing much to avoid that conclusion, are we? Turns out Alfred, for years back in England, had a film, cigar, beer podcast. Batman explains to Mr. Freeze that it was Poison Ivy who pulled the plug on his wife, not him. And they saved her. She's actually still alive. And that if he helps Batman by sharing his cure for stage 1 McGregor's disease, he might just regain a taste of his humanity in the process. Freeze taps a code into his wrist plate, Predator style, which it pops open and produces 2 blue test tubes of antidote.
I was just waiting to hear him start laughing like a predator.
No, even better. Take 2 of these and call me in the morning.
Oh.
He totally should have done that.
He did do it.
Oh, did he?
He does it.
Checked out
That's
of that.
how bad it is. You don't even know what's made up or what's. No, he totally says that.
All of a sudden, he's the one that's sick.
Boom! Just like that, those blue test tubes save Alfred's life. He's not zipping around.
he's still like
still walking
173.
like he's walking like he's a crisp 93 years old.
Well, you know, the other thing that struck me about this is if he had a cure for a disease that no one else did, that would have easily garnered him like another $1 billion.
I don't think so. I think McGregor's disease was like this rare thing that only Mrs.
Like
Freeze and Alfred
had, yeah.
And I think Alfred had it because he was boning Mrs. Freeze. Could have happened.
Could have happened.
You seem so cold lately, my love. Yeah. Maybe she doesn't like puns. Maybe she was sick of the puns.
Yeah.
Alfred's
maybe
not
they were
good.
gonna have one of those awkward like moments before it's like a popsicle over here.
Alfred never said any puns. Just saying. Everybody's happy. Alfred's alive. A new team is formed based on trust, finally. A terrible Smashing Pumpkins song starts playing us out, followed by an even terribler
Yeah.
R. Kelly song. And that's the end of our story. That's the end of our movie / horror commercial. City of Gotham. And that's when we need the doctor here. That song left me cold. The end.
I tried to warm up to it, but I couldn't.
Oh, there was some sort of sharpened wooden stick I could stab myself with.
Yeah, that's it, guys.
That movie is terrible. Just terrible.
It was so
I'm gonna go with you guys. I think agreed with me. The Gotham set design, exterior, not in the buildings, but on the outside of the buildings.
Yeah,
Looked really really comic bookish and cool.
Yes.
And bigger than life, and I really like the look of Gotham. Maybe the best out of any movie. Just the aesthetics of the building exteriors and the city itself. Arkham Asylum looked like a big, crazy castle kept over to the side of the city.
Yeah.
I really love the look of that. I liked Arnold's Freeze. Hated everybody else's performance.
If you were to tell me that in the production meetings before filming started, that the director and the producer and everybody came over and said, "We want to make a movie that appeals to 12-year-old boys," then I'm like, you did it. This is.
You really think gratuitous butt shots in the first minute appeal to 12-year-old boys?
I don't know.
How did that get through? How did that get through test screenings and Warner Brothers
All right, but
vice president sitting there like, you know what? I like them grabbing the weapons. I like them putting on the masks. Can we just cut out those 2 lingering butt shots?
Okay, outside of those.
Leave Alicia Silverstone's. But those 2 early ones are, I mean, it kind of sets the pace of not good stuff. Right?
I think it was one of those things that they did, like...
And I'm not just being frigid.
I think it's one of those things they did, and then they were like... Didn't edit it out. I'm like, oh, shit, did you leave those asses in there? Yeah.
You think they just figured we're making Batman and Robin? It's not like we're making Of Ice and Men?
No. No.
Sorry.
Dignity.
Sorry. So sorry. I think it's, you know, all right, it's a toy commercial. Okay.
Pretty much, yeah. And
That's
pretty much
let's
it.
not. You know, sometimes when Tut cut stuff, I know I could fight him on like a cut or like a shot in something he's edited. And ultimately, like the discussion that it would result in is just, I'd rather just not say anything than like fight. It's just some fights aren't worth, you don't care that much to fight about it.
Okay.
I'm trying to bring it into like with us, like we do videos and stuff.
Yeah, fuck you, dude.
Boy, I would have done this shot, or I would have just like done a little.
From
tiny...
now on, I'm gonna have to freeze frame.
More freeze frames. That's his one note. Needs more freeze frames. Oh God. But no, it's just like some things, you know.
Yeah,
it's just not. I don't care about it enough. I'm okay with it. It's just not worth the energy. Let's spend our energy. Let's spend our energy elsewhere. Yeah. And I think their energy was spent on marketing. Look, just get the film out there. We got to get to Burger King and get on cups. We got to get on Subway, and you know we're gonna do a Mr. Freeze cold tuna melt,
which they did all of that stuff.
It tastes nice. Did they do a Mr. Freeze tuna melt?
No.
Would never eat that.
I'm pretty sure they did. I am pretty sure they did. Somewhere, some way.
Poison Ivy veggie sandwich. Seems like
that would be something.
It seems like they would do something there. It did not do. It was the first Batman movie to not rule the summer box office. I think it made over 100, but that in Batman terms, it didn't. It did disappointing business. For good reason. It wasn't a very good movie. Right, I believe, after this movie is when Arnold had his heart surgery, where he would kind of take a step back for a while, come back with End of Days a little while later. Boy, he's really, and I'm not just saying this because I'm an Arnold diehard, he's really the only one that comes out of this okay with me. Yeah. I walk out of this movie disliking George Clooney more. I never liked Chris O'Donnell. Uma Thurman, I thought she was a good actress. I don't now. Like everyone in this thing, I just have a horrible taste in my mouth.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think Arnold was the only one that actually gave a shit.
Yeah, which he always does.
Yeah.
Even bad movies, he does what he's paid to do. Uma Thurman, she never acted before.
Well, I don't know what was going on with her because she was just come up and see me sometime line away from just a full-blown Mae West. It was just
It
weird.
was like a middle school production of Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, which that would be weird.
Maybe.
The reviews left me cold and icy.
No. No. Well, I really felt like, Jeep Swenson really nailed his part. The flexing of the biceps continuously.
Let's give Jeep Swenson and Arnold, and Jesse Ventura and Rolf Mueller, they all did good.
I am a little bit disappointed because I wish that they would come out with more Mr. Freeze stuff because he's actually one of my favorite villains because he's a tragic villain. He's not a straight up maniacal.
But I thought he captured that in this. I thought.
No, because there's like a scene in there where a bad guy comes up or one of his henchmen comes up and is like, "Hey boss, look at this," and all of a sudden Arnold just freezes him. It's like, don't interrupt or something like that. I was like, that's not Freeze. Freeze isn't Joker. He isn't a homicidal maniac. He isn't just off the rocker directing his henchmen to sing, Christmas carols. That's not Freeze's style. He's a tragic character. The reason why he got into crime was to save his wife. I always kind of liked Freeze. I'd like to see him actually, legitimately tried. If you're a fan, and cartoons or animation aside, go watch Heart of Ice, and then Cold Cold Heart, which is the follow-up for it. Man, those two story arcs, that's great storytelling, regardless of whether it's animation or whatever.
These are Batman?
Yeah, the Batman the Animated Series.
About
It's
Mr. Freeze?
great storytelling.
Okay. Joel Schumacher was actually on the clock to make another Batman movie after this. He wasn't really feeling this movie. He thought he was kind of done after forever, but it was just kind of expected. If you did one, it was successful to keep moving.
Yeah.
He takes full credit for this, including he's apologized for this movie and how fans reacted to it. But he basically said he was running out of villains because he did Riddler and Two-Face in Forever.
Yeah.
And then he did, all these guys in this one. It is interesting. The next movie, they actually did do some pre-production for the one after this, prior to this being released, and it was going to be Nicolas Cage as Scarecrow.
Okay.
That might have actually worked.
I think that might have actually
That
worked,
could have been.
yeah.
That could have been something.
And I will say this: I like the fact I like the villain team ups. If for only because fast forward to present day, when I just got through watching the latest or the season of Jessica Jones, and that's the most boring comic book series I've ever watched. It was, and I like Jessica Jones. I like the character. I like the actress that played her mom. I like the characters in it, but the story was so fracking boring. And you stretch that over 13 hours, man. Throw another villain in there. Throw a couple of villains in there.
That's my issue with
I was like, geez, man, you got to do something.
That's my issue with all the Marvel Netflix stuff. They stick to one villain all season. They're not that good. Well, Jessica Jones, Kilgrave, he would have been good for maybe 4 or 5 episodes.
Yeah, there was about 7 episodes to where I was like, yeah, this rocks. And then after that, you're kind of like,
I get it. I get what he does. I get what her thing. Let's move on. You got a million villains. Let's get them in there. Same with Luke Cage. The same with Daredevil. Just not enough villains.
at least with Luke Cage, they kind of did that. You had a Coppermouth, then transitioned into Diamondback.
Yeah. It should have been Diamondback the whole time. That guy's nuts. But anyway, yeah, I mean, these universes have so many villains. I'm with you. Throw them all at them. Give me, fucking team up Freeze with Captain Cold. Give me Sinestro.
Well,
give
see,
me
that's what
the Toy Man.
That's
Give
one
me
of the, yeah, exactly, and that's one
Gorilla
of the things
Grodd. Give them all to me.
that's one of the things that I laugh
Not
at.
Gorilla Grodd. He was on Flash way too much.
I don't. There's a lot of reviewers who do like the Arrow and Flash, and they hate the Monster of the Week formula. I like it because they have like a villain that does a season arc, but then each week is a new villain.
Correct.
And I like that. It keeps it fresh. But
It's the Walker Texas Ranger formula.
But you've got
every
that-
episode you got a new bad guy, but there's always that one big bad guy that floats in and out throughout a season.
Yes.
It
I
all
like
comes
that.
back-
I like that formula.
It all comes back
I
to
totally like
Chuck
that.
Norris figured it out years ago because he followed the 80s. In the 80s, A-Team had a different villain, but they always had that military general following them around. That's the 80s.
Tonight we're gonna catch the A-Team.
If only we knew what vehicle they were driving. Oh, right. The one they've been driving for 5 years.
Have you seen the black van with the red fin?
It could be anywhere. It literally is behind you at the truck stop.
It's right there. But they're wearing military ball caps. It can't be them. It's a different guy with a mohawk and a million gold chains. All right.
If only they would fire some sort of silver gun that
Well, I think
no one would ever have.
I think we've officially jumped the shark.
Yes.
All we need is some Here, you know what? Let me drink this beer to some Scooby-Doo sound effects. You already gave links, so let's get the fuck out of here. Huh?
All right.
I want to thank Mr. Daniel Marshall.
That was
Yeah,
an
he was
awesome
awesome.
interview.
That was great.
I'm sorry. That's just.
To go to back to the Wayne's World, we reference them with the swing. We're not worthy.
We're not worthy.
We're not worthy. I mean, the guy's just man. He's a badass. He's got, you know.
I'm totally glad you just didn't go swing.
no.
I mean, it'd be all right if you did.
When he was talking about Arnold drinking his vodka cranberries, playing chess in the Alps, swing. But I just did say that.
Oh no.
I'm sorry. I just got the mental image of them playing chess in the Alps.
Well, dude, Arnold's a big chess guy, and it's like, how cool would that be? To be smoking stogies with Arnold up in the ski lodge in the Alps, drinking vodka cranberries,
Be pretty sweet.
and I'm stuck here with you two assholes.
That wasn't so sweet.
One of the
Did I
things,
say that out loud?
one of the
did,
things
I'm
you're
so
not
sorry.
thinking about is when Hannibal crossed over into the Mediterranean Sea. I'm just, thank you. I'm done.
Do you think he likes his vodka cranberry on ice?
Do you want your vodka chilled?
Yeah. See, that's why we can't hang out with those guys. Make stupid jokes like that, and they kick us the fuck out of there. I'm
Get
literally
down.
not allowed at the Alps. Like, the whole mountains are off limits to me. He doesn't want to. I'm sorry.
And that's his secretary telling you that.
Yeah, we'll send you back to the Orlando airport. No. All right. Well, thank you to Daniel Marshall, Batman Robin, whatever. Good Freetail, good beer.
Yes.
Great beer.
Daniel Marshall cigar, really tasty, good cigar. It's good to be back in the corner of the hub, boys. Felt really good. Anything?
Not at the moment.
I'm good.
You need an ice house when the camera stops running.
Oh, I
right?
do. Yes.
All right, we'll turn off the cameras and we'll drink some Ice House. Why not? May the wings of liberty never lose a feather. I was trying to come up with a pun. Sayonara, motherfuckers. Hey, I got nothing.
To learn more about the time I donned a skin-tight gray unitard and fought crime under the cover of darkness, please read my autobiographical graphic novel, The Dork Knight Returns. You see, true believers, a blue whale's penis is called a dork. So when the ladies took one look at yours truly in his ridiculously tight unitard, that's the first term that popped into their heads, obviously. Blue whale's penis, that's right, baby. I mean, why else would they call me a dork? Yeah, I get it now. Well, I still looked a lot cooler in my costume than that whiny butthole Chris O'Donnell. Am I right? Anywho, in the meantime, to learn more about the movie, cigars, and libations enjoyed on tonight's episode, you can visit www.danielmarshall.com and www.freetailbrewing.com. Though you won't find very much information about the movie on either danielmarshall.com or freetailbrewing.com. For more on O'Brien's Irish Pub, the live music leader in Central Texas, please visit o'brienstemple.com and download their free smartphone app, where you'll find full beer listings including over 40 on tap, menu information, and a calendar of upcoming live events. To listen and purchase music heard on tonight's program, check out www.fritzbeermusic.com. Thank you for listening to the Tuesday Night Cigar Club podcast. This is Keith A. Howell saying until next time, friends, unless we see you sooner at the pub. So keep it smoky, and for God's sake, keep it ballsy as well.